Bases dropped on Thursday Thoughts here on SDH AM. John here, you there. Thanks for dropping by as you always do. The rundown is as follows as I put my index finger into the air. Chris Doran joining us in a couple of minutes to talk everything Crew. And it was a busy night last night in Columbus. We'll talk about that after Chris, more in depth. SheBelieves was there last night. So we'll get into that. Big win for the United States again, but it was a little tighter than folks might have anticipated. Hour number 2. Nino Torres is going to break some news having to do with Portugal. I have no idea what it is, and so we'll find out in addition to him and his making of desserts in Lima, Peru, how we just add 5 pounds by just staring at everything that he makes on a daily basis. Gold belly, gold belly, gold belly. That's the secret to get his desserts up here into North America. And then Niko Moreno, Pulso Sports and Sounded Heart's going to join us at 10:30. Quickly, I saw something come across the proverbial bow of the ship this morning. Opening kickoff brought to us by our friends at Black Pitch Coffee, blackpitchcoffee.com. Let me get my promo readout. Start your day with the most important stories in the game and the right way to start your morning. Black Pitch Coffee is part of the SDH community, showing up at events all over Atlanta. Try their home blend made with beans from Brazil and Guatemala, heavy-bodied with notes of walnut and semi-sweet chocolate and a rich world-class finish. Opening kickoff powered by Black Pitch Coffee and blackpitchcoffee.com. In my notifications this morning, I saw an article, headline, How to Fix VAR, and I imagine it has to do with England. You want to know how you fix VAR, just in general? Here's what you do. Goal line cameras, make sure that your camera positions that are at your slashes can fit, and make sure that the folks that are in the booth don't over-litigate what's going on. Set a time limit, 2 to 2.5 minutes, because if you're pretty much longer than that, you're looking for something. So time limits, cameras that match, and I know that it's a financial burden or whatever you want to call it. I know it's another expense, but make sure that your slashes are where they're supposed to be, and make sure that the folks in the booth are looking at the laws of the game and not trying to re-litigate the call on the field, because that happens more often than not. Happens in Major League Soccer. Drives me crazy. There you go. It's not 7,500 words or 10,000 or however many words it was in this particular publication. There, we fixed VAR. That's opening kickoff, brought to us by our friends at Black Pitch Coffee, blackpitchcoffee.com. Starting your day with the most important stories of the game, the right way to start your morning, part of the SDH community, showing up at events all over Atlanta. Home blend, and I'm going to have to trust you because I'm not a coffee person. Walnut, semi-sweet chocolate, rich world-class finish, opening kickoff, Black Pitch Coffee, blackpitchcoffee.com. Okay, I have dillied and dallied far too long. Time to bring in Chris Doran and find out what's going on in Chris's mind. And so did I fix VAR?
I think you came close, John. It's so great to see you this morning. Thanks for having me on the show.
Good to see you.
Yeah, I've been paying attention to the experimentation options that are out there. The whole body rule, I think, is the one that appeals to me most, because you and I can go all the way back to, maybe the days in North American Soccer League history when there was that 35-yard line, the offside line, comparable to the blue line in hockey. I really would prefer to see that we don't spend so much time litigating, not just in the booth, but even between the referee and the VAR.
Yeah.
And I think it would be easier if we were able to say the whole body and not just a toe or not just a portion of the torso.
And the point that you make is, and folks sit there and they're kvetching about VAR. It's not VAR you need to be kvetching about. It's about the laws of the game. So, VAR can only do so much. The person who's in charge of VAR can only do so much until they over-litigate themselves and they overstep their actual duties. If you're going to have a problem with it, then fix the rule. The rule is the issue 9 times out of 10 and not VAR itself. That's kind of what I'm trying to remind folks on a daily basis.
And that's a tremendous bit of clarity from you this morning. You've clearly got yourself sharpened for today's show.
Right.
Good for you.
That's scary. All right. So my second question, while we were in the break before he came on air, when it comes to, and this is something that has bugged me all week long and is something that has also bugged me for about 75 years. Do you have problems taking pills in the morning? Do you always end up, the ones that taste the worst, they always end up they always stay the longest when you're trying to take pills in the morning?
Well, let's clarify what we mean by the word pills,
Yeah, no,
shall we?
like your morning medications and things like that. Like if you're
Right.
taking
Okay.
like aspirin and stuff like that. Not like Timothy Leary kind of stuff, but like if you have morning medications that you have to take every day, traditionally it's the one that tastes the worst that ends up sticking in your mouth the longest.
Right.
Same?
Yes, that's absolutely true. My wife has started me on a garlic pill.
Whoa, wow.
Yeah. It's actually not bad, but that is the one that sticks in the taste buds the longest. Usually takes about an hour. Sometimes I'll revisit it like at an hour, 10 minutes after I've taken it. But
Yeah.
everything else is a nutritional supplement, vitamins, that sort of thing. So I'm very fortunate not to have to be on any of the pills. I should be taking them on a regular basis. The garlic pill is one of them I take every day.
So no vampires at the Doran household?
No, there are none, as a matter of fact. Yes.
Try to ward them off. And so that's just random stuff that I've had in my brain that I've tried to tackle all week long, and I'm trying to get an evidence comparison. Am I
Well,
the
what are you taking them with?
well? I mean, it's like my morning soda, so I mean, it's
Okay.
or water or whatever. It just so happened that the last one I had to take was here at the desk. And what I have here at the desk is the morning soda. It's not like water with all the others all the way upstairs to kick things off, but it's like, oh crap, I have to take this last one. And so it's here at the desk. And so there you go. Yes.
Gotcha.
Uh-huh. Yeah. So this is the kind of insightful stuff that we always talk about here on a morning show. I just wanted to see if I was alone in this or not. And I'm not surprised that I pretty much, that I'm on an island when it comes to this kind of stuff. Brought you in here to actually talk about Columbus
Yeah.
and what's going on with the Crew. Let me start with what happened last night. After you depart this morning, we're going to talk about SheBelieves and the visit that was in Columbus, and the word that the Haslams are kind of kicking the tires on an idea of an NWSL franchise.
Hmm.
When that came across everybody's breaking news, barriers and everything, what was the thought pattern there? What have you had any feedback just in general about what folks have thought?
Yeah. I mean, there's still a lot of questions. That the Haslams are investigating it does not surprise me in the least. They own a portion of the Milwaukee Bucks. They've long appreciated the work that's been done in Columbus, mostly by the leadership team and the Johnson and Edwards families, in conjunction with the Haslam families, in getting this investment in the Columbus Crew to the point where it's a high value franchise in the league. And so I can't blame them because they are investors, that they are looking at the NWSL, that Ohio is pretty clear in terms of NWSL competitive franchises, and it would be a great opportunity. Now, I jumped the gun a little bit in that I thought, well, okay, how are we going to fit them in at Ohio Health Performance Center? How are we going to get their games at
Yeah.
Scotts Miracle Grove Field during our seasons? So I was really premature and I think rather narrow-minded in that. When you look at Denver and Denver's new NWSL team, the ownership group is completely different from the group that owns the Colorado Rapids.
Right.
And that new women's team wants nothing to do with Dick's Sporting Goods Park. They're building their new stadium downtown, and they are going to be blowing the doors off of early admissions to that for that team's games. Um, I'm not saying that the Haslams would avoid using Scotts Miracle Grove Field, but you and I have a very simple understanding of economics. My appreciation probably a lot more simple than yours. But when you got a building that's valued at $315 million, a bill that you still have to pay,
Mhm.
and you have a potential second tenant, there there may be some wisdom in the idea that you play both teams in the same building. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but it could happen, or they could build another facility, another game facility. And I don't know, but I think it's exciting, and I don't blame the Haslam Sporting Group for getting involved in possible discussions about it.
Yeah, and we were trying to think of obviously when Team 17 happens here in 2 seasons in the NWSL, we were just kind of spitballing out loud since it's a turf surface. could you imagine the double headers that you could have with the NWSL, like a day-night double header like we used to have in baseball, where you have the NWSL maybe start things off, and then you clean the field out, everybody goes out and tailgates, they come back in for night side, and they have a Major League Soccer. And so you'd have 40,000 people twice in the span of a morning and an afternoon and an evening. So, that was just us spitballing just ideas and things. But no, I had to ask about that.
Yeah, and I don't mean to be critical of your concept, but I will push back just a little bit. Double headers are very difficult.
Yes.
I think they're tough for facilities. I think they're tough for teams. If I'm running a team, I want my unique date. Now, the caveat to that is, in the early days, you may recall, Major League Soccer would host these international friendlies prior to the MLS game because we weren't getting bodies in the seats for the MLS games. But if you brought in David Beckham and Real Madrid playing against Chivas Guadalajara, then you'd probably get a pretty good crowd. And I called a game for international television featuring those two teams back in the 90s. No, early 2000s when Beckham was still with Real Madrid. And we had 75,000 people in Soldier Field, hoping that at least half would stick around for that Chicago Fire New England Revolution game at 6 p.m. I know the days have changed, but I also know that people's schedules are very, very compact.
Yeah.
And so the flexibility in those doubleheader days sometimes forces folks to choose one or the other, but not both.
Yep. Last time out for Crew, it was a matchup against Sporting Kansas City, and the Bishop gets a brace. That sounds like a headline for the Kansas City Star, actually. Dejan
I love that.
2 goals, 24 minutes apart. Diego Rossi scores in the 82nd. There was a moment, we'll put it as that for a bit, and it's a 2-2 draw by the time of things. Now that you've had a couple days to kind of process what went down, what are your big takeaways from that draw in Kansas City?
Well, I think like Hendrik Rootstrom said yesterday during media days at Ohio Health Performance Center, immediately following the match, it was kind of disappointing. I mean, even Steven Moreira said the locker room was really down. People were upset, and as well they should have been. It's probably a great fire for them, no pun intended, to have in their bellies going into the weekend where they've got their home opener on Saturday here in Columbus. That said, coming back after having watched the tape, Hendrik Rootstrom says, you know what? Some of it really wasn't that bad. In fact, it was pretty good. One thing I focused on, John, was the last 18 minutes. And for those who didn't see it, I'll just paint the picture. Columbus is down 2-1. It's the 81st minute. Sporting Kansas City is depleted in terms of energy and subs. Columbus puts on their last sub, Yamal Thierry, who I know you know of, having played in Atlanta. He's a disruptor up top. I think that's a pretty fair statement.
Yes.
And he was playing alongside Wessam Abu Ali for the final 8 minutes plus added time. Well, John, the final 8 minutes also included 9 minutes of added time. So we're talking about a segment of the game that's about 18 minutes long. Columbus down 2-1. They go to 2 center backs and 2 front runners. Diego Rossi scores a goal in the 82nd minute. We draw a penalty kick in the 85th minute. Yes, we missed that, but we drew the penalty kick and then had another shot on frame. In the 18 minutes, John, we had 60% of our overall shots on frame. In those 18 minutes, we also had half of the shots of the entire game. We had 11 entries into the box, and we held Sporting Kansas City to just 2 entries into the box on the other end of the field. My point is this. We went to 2 center backs, didn't play with 3. We had high wing backs, and we had 2 front runners with Rossi really floating around the flanks. And we were able to generate that kind of offensive impact. I will grant you that Sporting Kansas City was exhausted. And when the game got to 2-2, all they wanted was the draw.
Yeah.
But I got to tell you, I think it was a harbinger for what we may actually see from the Columbus Crew later in the season. I'm not talking about this Saturday, but I am saying that I think our personnel actually speaks more strongly to a 4-back system than a 3-back. And I think with the players that we've got in the attack who are generating goals, the 2 players you mentioned, Diego Rossi and Wessam Abu Ali, I think we get them more chances that way.
What does a healthy Wessam Abu Ali bring to the table? Because folks might be drifting in and out. They'll sit there and they'll get a cup of coffee with him, and then they'll notice that he's injured and he's got to come back through rehab and get back to full song. What does a full Wessam Abu Ali bring to the table?
Well, he'll even admit to you that he's at about 90% right now. He had a really light offseason because of that broken foot. Nobody wanted to take any chances. You can't blame them. But he's got a goal in each of the last 5 games he started for the Columbus Crew, going all the way back to the fall of last year. And so looking for goal number 6 against Chicago, I think what we're going to see is an inspired Wessam Abu Ali who's finding his legs now going into the 3rd game of the Major League Soccer season. As we spoke with Danny Higginbotham yesterday on Apple TV, he made the observation that Wessam, for the first time since Cucho, is the one Crew player who's really stretching the attack for the Columbus Crew. Diego Rossi's not that player. He'd much rather play just underneath that first line of attack. And in fact, that's where Diego's goals have come from in these last 2 games. So as Wes presses the back line and pushes them all the way practically to the 6, the space opens up at the top of the 18. That's where Rossi and even Daniel Gazdag for a bit can find some space and finish some plays. Abu Ali, I think, is going to become much more of a threat as the weeks wear on. He is fully healthy, but as I said, in his words, 90% there in the way of fitness.
So if we were to kind of break this into the other football parlance, would it be safe to say that Wes is your deep threat at wide receiver? He's the guy that takes the top off the defense, and then you have Rossi and Gazdag who want to work the underneath routes because that space is created because everybody's focusing on the deep route. You have those two come in from behind, and you get the possession in the middle of the field, and that way space is created for them to get the yardage and the distance downfield.
I think that's a great analogy. I'd like to see a couple of short post runs from Wessam Abu Ali in the midfield, and then I'd like to see what we can do with guys on the flanks going forward. So, that check to the midfield is incredibly important for a true number 9. And when he does that, we need to have a player underneath to whom he can play that ball. And then those wing options become the next play to the outside. I think one of the things that we've missed out on in our attack over the last couple of games is that in playing with fairly conservative wingbacks, playing against conservative wingbacks, Max Arston and Andres Herrera have not quite been as penetrating as we've been accustomed to. Andres Herrera in particular has been sort of, I think, saddled with a little more defensive responsibility, in particular in that first week against Portland because Steven Moreira was not available for selection. So if we can get that short ball connection, let West drop the ball off in the midfield, turn and go. Now you've got your penetrating run in between the 2 center backs. You got some wing options. We've got 2 or 3 great ball carriers in Diego Rossi, Hugo Picard, as well as Dylan Chambeau when he gets back from injury. So there's a lot of promise, I think, in the midfield. We just, at this point, not only in the buildup, but also in the recovery runs and the pressure in slowing the counterattack from the opponent, we've really struggled a little bit defensively in the midfield.
Crew getting ready for Chicago Fire coming up this weekend, and so we enlist our friend Chris Doran to break down everything when it comes to Crew. Let me phrase it this way. How different is it stylistically under Rudstrom versus Wilfred Nancy, or is it Nancy adjacent, or am I trying to look at things in a larger picture when I should be looking at things at a game-by-game basis when it comes to approach for Rudstrom when it comes to 2026 in Crew?
Yeah, I think as a fan, and I can speak from that standpoint, I think we're still trying to sort that one out. You bring up a really great question. It's really funny if you go back to, and Greg Berhalter, as you know, the head coach of the Chicago Fire, comes back to Columbus, a city that he really loves. But Greg was the head coach for Columbus in the 2000 teens and got us to the 2015 MLS Cup. Greg was very much an orchestrator. I think those of you who didn't see him in his MLS days saw him as a men's national team coach, and you could see he was very active on the sideline, very much wanted to direct traffic. With regards to Caleb Porter, the next coach, he was like we got to loosen the reins a little bit. These guys don't make a 30-yard sprint until they get a green flag from the bench. Those are my words, by the way, not Caleb's. Then we had Wilfried Nancy, who reeled it all back in, didn't he? I mean, it became a lot more, I won't say predictable, but a lot more orchestrated.
Yeah.
I think we've got the ship going the other way just a little bit. It's listing towards letting them loose a bit. And in particular, that has to do with getting into the attacking half of the field. But Rootstrom was a midfielder in his playing days. He wants organization. He knows what kind of damage can be done by the right people in the midfield defensively and on the attack. And I think that's the question that he's still sorting out. Once that's sorted, I think we're going to see a truer version of what Rootstrom wants from this group as we get closer to the latter part of this first half of the season, which ends with the start of the World Cup in June.
When Chicago comes in, obviously they will be without the little ball of hate, Johnny Dean, and getting the red card that he got. And so then, of course, you're playing CF Montreal. You're up a goal. You get a red card. So what happens? You score 2 more and you win 3-0. That goes more, I think, to the issues of Montreal than it does the successes of Chicago. They're still dealing with injury issues. Andrew Gutman is 0 for 2 out of the blocks, still trying to get back to full song. When you look at Chicago, it is Kuipers, it is Zinkernagel, it is Jonathan Bamba. It is weapons coming at you from all over the place with Greg Berhalter, getting his, second year in with everything there in Chicago. When you look at Chicago, what concerns you the most, you think?
Whether or not Brian Gutierrez may want to come back for a Saturday date, because he killed us last year with a couple of goals. I mean, I just absolutely love Gutierrez, and I'm glad he's not on the roster anymore, but I hope he's doing well.
Yes.
Kuipers doesn't stop. Gutman is a Midwest kid and, played against Ohio State several times as he was an Indiana kid. And, he's always going to be dangerous as soon as he finds his flow. But I think you put your finger on it with mostly Zinkernagel and Kuipers. Bamba stretches the attack a little bit. Our flanks become a tad bit vulnerable when that stretch happens, especially on the counter. And if we've sorted that out, if we are finding solutions, if in fact maybe some personnel gets changed up for this home opener, then we'll start to see some solutions. It's a dangerous team. It's a team that has now heard the same coach for the second year. Yeah. And they understand what they're capable of, having had that brief success going to the playoffs last year. And I'm sure they're hungry for more. Plus, they're all amping up toward 2027 or 28 with that new stadium. I mean, I would bet a lot of this roster would love to be with this team when that palace is opened up in Chicago in the next couple of years. So they're all working hard for Greg. Greg's a great coach. We have to be up to the task on Saturday.
I still think that place is too small because they're saying it's only going to be 22,000, I think. And I'm like,
yeah,
that's too small. Yeah. Get to 30. Come on now, at the 78. All right, blatant promo time. For those that want to listen to you, not just on Saturday, but all the time, how do they do it?
We're excited to announce that iHeartRadio has expanded the network. You can always listen online, but sometimes when you're in the truck or car, you're passing through a city, or you're a resident of an Ohio city that has an affiliate. We're excited to announce that we've got 7 affiliates across the state of Ohio. Wow. But iHeartRadio is your source. You can find us 40 minutes before kickoff on any given game night. And then we do Inside the Crew on Wednesday nights. It's a podcast Thursday, so you can download the podcast on Thursday and listen to it whenever you have time.
And the local option on the Apple TVs, when you hit there and you go audio and you go local radio, and you can listen to that guy right there. Chris
You're
Doran.
the man. Thank you, John, so much.
Good to see you, my friend. Don't be a stranger. We'll see you soon.
Thanks so much, John. Have a great day.
You too. Chris Doran. Dulcet tones of Chris Doran. The Velvet Pipes. Chris Doran, play-by-play voice of Columbus Crew. It's always great to catch up with Chris and find out what's going on and to pick his brain about everything going on with a new coach, a team that is traditionally doing well in the Eastern Conference. How are they integrating? And are they past the hello, my name is stage on the name tags when it comes to anything and everything going on with Columbus Crew? So it's always great to catch up with Chris and get the skinny there. All right, speaking of Columbus, Ohio, it was a big evening last night for the soccer community there. And that was why I wanted to start off after asking about pill intake and everything. But I wanted to ask about what happened with SheBelieves and the environment and the homecoming and all the things that we had yesterday on the show. prepping for the match that was going on the back end of the doubleheader yesterday. And so one highlight, but sometimes that's all you need. It's just the one highlight. And it was a goal on the board for the Stars and Stripes. And it was in the second half. Goalless at the break. Allie Sentner gets a moment, courtesy of our friends at TNT and U.S. Soccer.
And again, I'm looking at the penalty spot where Sentner got her spot. There you get a good look of Sentner wide open. Sam Coffey wide open. They play a zone.
Comes all the way through towards Sentner! Allie Sentner opens the scoring! 1-0 United States!
Luke Wildman and Julie Foudy, and that was really prescient with Julie Foudy. If you sit there and you listen to it, she's sitting there and she saw Allie Sentner wide open outside the 6 in and around the penalty spot. That's where service went. After the bounce, Sentner gets it in the back of the net. That was the only goal of the match. That's all you need. Rose Lavelle gets her 28th assist. Top of the tournament standings for the United States. Sentner gets her team-leading 3rd goal of the year. Half volley in the 55th, 7th international goal, and 3rd of the season for Sentner. Cincinnati, Ohio native Rose Lavelle gets the assist off the corner, and that puts, once again, U.S. top of the standings. SheBelieves Cup, 6 points heading into the final match day, which means really you only need a draw against Colombia to get your 8th SheBelieves Cup title. Canada and Colombia, which earned the 1-0 win over Argentina early in the day, are both on 3 points, meaning a U.S. win or tie against Colombia, even if the USA lost the ensuing PK shootout, would give the Americans tournament title at 9 or 7 points. And the rundown of the stats, give me a second here, and I will get to it. Starting 11 averaged 47.3 caps heading into the match. Most experienced starting 11 U.S. has fielded since October 23rd of last year against Portugal. Emma Hayes made 10 changes to the lineup from the opening SheBelieves match. Outside back Giselle Thompson is the only holdover. We'll go into the lineup in a bit. 6 of the starters, FIFA Women's World Cup and or Olympic experience: Lavelle, Emily Sonnet, Emily Fox, Naomi Gearman, Trinity Rodman, Sam Coffey. Valentolis Joyce made her first SheBelieves Cup appearance, earning the start in net. First ever tournament with the USWNT and first international match since Portugal. Gearma and Rodman, 51st caps together, as Rodman just crossed the 50-cap mark March 1st. Gearma had that in December. 70th and 71st players, respectively, to earn 50 caps. 2 of the only 14 active players with more than 50. The other 57 are retired. 28th assist for Lavelle. Allie Sentner, 7th in the overall team, leading 3rd. Record against Canada in SheBelieves is now 3-0-1 in front of a crowd of 18,545. Lineup for the U.S.: Tullis Joyce, Fox, Gearma, who wore the armband, Sonnet, Giselle Thompson, Sam Coffey, Claire Hutton, who got subbed out by Lindsay Heaps with 11 to go. Rose Lavelle subbed out for Lily Johannes, same time. Trinity Rodman subbed out for Emma Sears with 20 to go. Sentner, Alyssa Thompson, Jaden Shaw with a cup of coffee late. Not used: Claudia Dickey, Emily Sams, Tara Rudd, Avery Patterson, Kennedy Wesley, Olivia Moultrie, Riley Jackson, and Jamise Joseph. Lineup for Canada: Kaylin Sheridan, Sonise, Gilas, Rose, Collins. Subbed in Gabrielle Carl with a handful of minutes to go. Nichelle Prince, Annabelle Chukwu got 30 minutes as a sub. Simi Awujo, Mimi Alidu got an early run in, and obviously you're going to keep an eye on Awujo. 37th minute substitution there. Emma Regan and Jordan Heidema came in for 30. Julia Grosso, Chloe Lacasse, Holly Ward came in for 30. And it was Evelyn Veens, and then DB Pridham came in for a cup of coffee there. Final numbers: shots 18-6 to the U.S., shots on goal 4-1, 3 saves for Kaylin Sheridan compared to 1 for Tullis Joyce, 11 corners to 2 for the United States, 21 fouls called, 2/3 of them were called on Canada, 1 offside each side, 2 cards, both to Canada, Alidu and Gabrielle Carl. It was in all. The ref crew was all from Mexico. Lizette Garcia was in the middle, Mayra Mora, Aranza Quero Aguilar, and your 4th was Ana Cristina Guarnos Lezam. So that your standings, once again, 2-0 after the first 2. 3 goals scored, none allowed for the United States. Canada, Colombia, each with 3 points. Argentina, 0-2, and a goal difference of -3. So after the match, caught up with Emma Hayes, and and the question was asked of Emma Hayes about this performance. Was this the best performance since Portugal? Was this the best performance that she has seen recently from this club? Once again, here's her answer, courtesy of our friends at U.S. Soccer and Veritone.
As I said the other day, there's so many different ways to win a football match. I love winning football matches like this, where still on a knife edge at 1-0. Large part of the team is still in pre-season. So the final part of the pitch, I think, in terms of like misconnections or the wrong decision, I think shows it's pre-season. But it is important that I think for a team that is so accustomed to like, I want the next goal, next action, that sometimes it doesn't come. But what you mustn't do is seek that so much that you give up something else. And I thought our control the last 10 minutes of the game, that for me is indicative of maturity in the performance. Until Naomi banana balled the ball out of touch, which made me giggle. So it was one of my favourite performances because they're growing up. And that includes Ali Sentner. I mean, she was menacing all evening, pressing, really she made it really difficult for them to settle on the ball. And I could tell she was disappointed by the opportunity she missed, but she's so resilient, and she's got that type A perfectionist, but steel about her. Definitely a UNC kid to get her take her chance, and so watching Ali Sentner's development, I just said it to him there. I said, remember Japan last year, that learning, and you're going into these games with that body of work underneath you, and they are in a better place for it. And just bear in mind, there's a lot of experience you need a lot of experience to play the Niners, the US Women's National Team, and I thought she did a bloody good job of doing that. So yeah, I enjoyed it, even though, I mean, I always want more goals, but sometimes not. Sometimes I'm like, I think it's a good place to be in, where you're like, we're winning 1-0. You know, how do you manage this part of the game when maybe the second goal don't come, but you can cough up a corner, and all of a sudden it's a 1-1 game, it's going to penalties. So it was on enough of a knife edge for it, with the right tension, but we didn't have to get into the emotional side of the game because we controlled it so well.
Emma Hayes, head coach of the women's national team, after the win last night in the SheBelieves Cup. And in the interest of equal time, this is where we catch up with Casey Stoney. And Casey Stoney, the head coach for the women's national team in Canada. Mackenzie Barwell was there for One Soccer. And this is part of their conversation after the match. Once again, courtesy of our friends at One Soccer and onesoccer.ca.
How would you evaluate this team's performance?
I think it was definitely an improvement than the last time we played the US. Obviously, we're disappointed to lose. They showed while they're number one team in the world, you know, with the pace and the power that they've got. But I'm so proud of the players today. I thought they stood up, they were counted, they competed, we were more compact, they put their bodies on the line. I'm disappointed we've conceded from a set piece. And then I think there were moments we missed to like penetrate their back line, and maybe we could have got, especially when Annabelle come on, we could have got her in the game a bit more. But yeah, listen, I can't ask any more. We've had to deal with a lot today. We lost Jessie, Simi. You know, I asked her, could you go 45? And it was clear that she was struggling, you know, but we've come out here, and I think they can be really proud of the progress that they've made. But now we need more. We need to keep developing. We need to make sure that we cut out the technical errors, because we work so hard to win the ball back and then we just give it away. So, you know, these are things that we'll keep tidying up on. But, you know, the progress that we've made, I hope everybody in Canada is proud of this team today.
Casey Stoney, part of her conversation with Mackenzie Barwell after the match over at One Soccer. And speaking of Canada in general, it looks like the negotiations are ongoing between the powers that are and the agents therein to possibly renew Jessie Marsh's contract. So we'll keep an eye on that north of the border and see what's going on. And the tenured professorship of Jessie Marsh, they'll try and see if, I guess, that's going to continue in its form. So that's the SheBelieves rundown, the Columbus Crew rundown, a little bit of Eastern Conference, Columbus and Chicago. That's going to be a big matchup coming up this weekend. Thanks to our friend Chris Doran for putting up with my silly questions and kind of breaking everything down when it comes to Crew and Columbus in general. And when we bring in those voices from around the league, it is kind of opposition research in a way, like it was with Landon Southwick yesterday at RSL. But when you have those big matchups and you can go to those individuals in those markets and understand more about that matchup, when those two teams do come to town, or when, in this case, since Chris calls Columbus, when Columbus comes to town, you have an understanding of what you're going to see from Henrik Rydström and the Crew in 26. You'll get his perspective on what he's seen so far with Chicago. And so you'll know what to look at when when you either go to Chicago or Chicago comes to town, or you have another team that is looking at everything going on. And so it's an education for me, and hopefully it's an education for you, and we get to bring in all these different voices. Let me say hi to everybody. Morning, Abby, and morning, David. Morning, Lokeville. Lokeville calling for a 3-2 Atlanta win this weekend. I am intrigued. I mean, like I said, I think yesterday, and we got into it a little bit, but right now with the club the way that it is, I don't know the injury situation with RSL. All things being equal, if you look at the matchup that they had last week against Seattle at home, the younger players, 22 and under, 3 of them stepped up. Obviously, your striker is not going to be with you for the remainder of the season since he injured his Achilles in the match. But I think that if you look at the right-hand side, and like I said, this for me is where I'm going to be paying attention to things. So for me, the right-hand side of their attack, if it is going to look like, because we don't know the status of Diego Luna or DeAndre Yedlin or Olatunji, just to give you an idea. They had 5 absences, and it was, let me see if I can find my note here really quickly. It was 5 key absences last week against Seattle, but it was at home. And so last week you had Luna out, Olatunji out, Yedlin out, Emeka Eneli out, Juan Jose Arias out. Don't know at the moment what the health status is of those 5. Arias and Luna both 22, Olatunji 26, Eneli 26, DeAndre Yedlin 32. Don't know their health status going in yet. We'll probably learn more from Pablo Mastroeni today, and my guess is they're going to be traveling east tomorrow. In their place, you had Luka Moisa, 17, Aiden Hezerkani, 18, Xavier Gozo, 18, and Ariat Piol, who was 21. Piol was the one who injured his Achilles and is, for all intents and purposes, I think, out for the year. But on that right-hand side of the attack, Hezerkani was your right wing, and behind him was Xavier Gozo in the midfield. So I think that those two, if they start, that'll be where you look. The attack on the right-hand side for RSL against the left-hand side of the defense for Atlanta United. So Baez, whoever your left center back is, say it's Barakal, whoever your 6 is on that side, Alzate. So if it's those 3 going up against the 2 coming forward, and I'll apply Jason's theorem of defending versus attacking to this particular matchup. If you have a 3v2 defensively with those youngsters coming at you, obviously you have the numerical advantage there to start. So that's where I'm looking. If it's Gozo and Hezerkani on the right-hand side, one behind the other, obviously, and then obviously if Gozo would be bombing forward. Gozo, high future. Hezerkani is the lesser known of the 2 outside of RSL circles, and he was the one that had the goal for RSL last week. So Gozo and Hezerkani versus Baez, Barakal, Alzate. That's what I'm looking at. So if you go to the match, or if you're watching the match on television, and like I said, this is a big if Gozo and Hezerkani are starting on the right-hand side for RSL, see how they line up and how they go up against the left-sided 6 in the midfield, or your midfield defending, and the 2 on the left-hand side of the defense at the back for Atlanta United. So that's what I'm looking at. It's on grass. Man, you could smell that grass too, and it had been mowed Tuesday, and you could smell it. So how do they react to the grass? How is that grass going to respond to all of that foot traffic? That's going to be another subplot for me. I will be intrigued. Definitely wearing tennis shoes, but I will be intrigued about the grass, and I want to know how the players and their boots respond to that grass. So that's, like I said, those are just, a couple of intangibles for me going into this matchup. RSL is capable of scoring. I don't know if they get to 2, considering they're the ones that are traveling 2 time zones and having to get adjusted to life, 2 hours earlier than they would, having to reorient everything. And I think that with all of the absences, if you take, once again, the 5 that were out and you look at the starting lineup going up against that, all of the absences and folks trying to become familiar with one another, I'm thinking it's probably something along the lines of 2-1 Atlanta, just because of the travel RSL has to make. And this is, once again, all things being equal with the lineup that we know from last week, not knowing health status going into this match. So that's my initial thought, not knowing what the lineups are going to look like. So that's early .02 on this one. So as things continue to work forward, I think we get to hear more today from the Children's Healthcare of Atlanta Training Ground. So keep an eye out for Training Ground Dispatch with Jason and Maddie. That'll be up on SDH platforms later today, this afternoon, and getting you closer to match activity. So that's the rundown there with that. So Lokeville, I'm with you. I mean, I think it might take a couple of goals to get things going. Morning Ricky as well. So morning Ricky, morning Abby, morning Lokeville, morning David, and morning to all y'all. So that's the early rundown. Obviously, our buddy Nino Torres is going to join us and he's claiming he's got breaking news. He's got big news, and he's going to break it on the show. We'll find out what that is. I have no idea what it is, and he's going to surprise all of us. And if it has something to do with Liga Portugal, which is what he's alluding to, I have a thought in my head, and I'm going to keep it to myself until he brings that news. Okay, other news that is out, other stories that are out this morning. And it looks like overseas in the EFL Championship, the playoffs have been expanded by 2 teams. So now it is 7 and 8 that get included in. 3 and 4 get the first round bye. So 5, 6, 7, and 8 in the championship get their opportunity starting next year, not this year. So EFL Championship, if you are 8th or higher, you have a shot. 1 and 2 still automatically get promoted to the Premier League. But now 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 3 and 4 first round bye. 5, 6, 7, 8 would go into your promotion playoff as we know it. So if this year was the year, even though we know that it's not, right now, the way that it would look, and it's going to be interesting to hear Rob Mack and Ryan Reynolds do play-by-play for an upcoming Wrexham match. I think it's in 8 days' time. So right now, Coventry City and Middlesbrough, they would be automatically promoted. Coventry City's won 21 of 35. They're 5 points clear, unbeaten in 5. Ipswich and Millwall would wait for Hull City, Wrexham, Southampton, and Derby County. Derby County right now is at 51 points, 2 goals difference better than Watford. Bristol City's at 50, Preston North End's at 49. This is brutal. The championship is brutal, people. It is beyond competitive to get into the playoff. Right now, Wrexham is the 6th. So under normal circumstances, this year, Wrexham would be the 6th, and they get to play Ipswich in the opening round, and then Millwall and Hull City. Hull City goes to Millwall, and that would be your matchups. But just to give you an idea, after that chase group of Wrexham at 6, Southampton is 7th at 53. Norwich is 17th, 8 points behind. 11 teams separated by 8 points to get to the 7. And then you get into the relegation part of the discussion, and it is 5 teams separated by 7 points for 2 of the 3 spots. Sheffield Wednesday, they've already been relegated. First time ever in February that's ever happened in the championship. 18-point deductions will do that for you. But it is Portsmouth, Blackburn, West Brom with George Campbell. There's an article out with George Campbell and how he is adjusting and embracing what's going on at West Brom, even with a coaching change and a sacking. And then Leicester City and Oxford United. Right now, it's Leicester and Oxford, but West Brom is only a point out of the danger zone, 35 points to 34. Blackburn's at 38, and Portsmouth's at 39. So you got to keep an eye on all that. So you have 5 teams separated by 7 points for 2 of the 3 unwanted relegation spots to League One. That's just how nuts and crazy the championship is. And so next year they're going to expand the play-in playoffs to go 3, 4. You get a first-round bye. 5, 6, 7, 8. They get to work their way in and figure out who plays the 3 and the 4. So that is where you are. That's what you're staring at. And apparently a rare 4.9 magnitude earthquake has struck Louisiana. Keep an eye on that. Odds and ends, my guess is we're probably going to go long this morning. From CAF, their own selves, they have rescheduled the dates of the women's AFCON tournament in 2026. And it has come to the CAF decision makers. They've decided to reschedule the dates of WAFCON to late July to mid-August. Now it is July 25 to August 16th, quoting CAF, to ensure the success of this important women's competition in light of certain unforeseen circumstances. So prep's underway and all parties confident it will be successful. So the WAFCON, the Women's Africa Cup of Nations, pushed back to the beginnings of late July going through mid-August. So that one was brought up in Morning Espresso this morning and yesterday. And so if you don't have Morning Espresso with Jason, gives you your early way to get started on the day with all the news that you might have missed overnight. A lot of news from a bunch of different places. And it's an opportunity to get caught up there. You can either read it, go to Beehive and subscribe, go to soccerdownhere.net and subscribe to it. Also, you get audio form as well. And it's also popping up on the YouTube channel. So however you intake everything, you can intake Morning Espresso, brought to us by our friends at Oglethorpe University. Subscribe, read the newsletter, listen to it, set your notifications on the 280-character app or any other way that you consume all of your information on a daily basis. Let's see. So I'm trying to see if there's anything else that I might have missed when it comes to anything and everything. I think we're okay, at least at the moment. I think at the moment we're good when it comes to any breaking news that might have happened while I was looking at all of the other storylines. I do have another couple of things to get into before our buddy Nino Torres joins us, and Nino Damas breaks down everything around the planet that he has seen over the last 7 days. And it'll be Copa Libertadores. It'll be Portugal, where he has breaking news, South America in general, and World Cup Chronicles. And then Niko Moreno is going to join us at about 10:30, and we'll break everything down with him when it comes to the Western Conference. We'll go through juice boxes and start our coverage, getting you ready for everything in Major League Soccer on the weekend. Tomorrow, by the way, Miguel Gallardo is going to be joining us at 10 o'clock from Apple TV, and he will be on for the first time to break everything down as he sees it in his matchup, and we'll break down the season that he has seen in the first handful of match weeks and getting ready for number 3 as well. So really looking forward to catching up with Miguel Gallardo for the first time from Apple TV. The valuations came out, and I wish I'd known about this, but valuations came out from our friends at Sportico on the NWSL. And so we now know, at least the valuations according to our friends at Sportico, what they are and how they are viewed in the world of financials. NWSL valuations are out for the 10 teams that are currently playing. This does not include any expansion teams that are drifting in. And so your top 10 are as follows. I'm not going to subscribe, silly people. Hang on. I think it might be on Yahoo. So let me see. NWSL evaluations. Let me see if I can find it in another place to get all of the intel. And so NWSL has secured nearly $400 million in expansion fees since 2023. That number was posted back in mid-November. And so right now, the average worth of an NWSL team is $184 million, an increase of 77% year to year, 24 to 25. Then you have, and that's, conversations with owners, execs, investors, bankers, and lawyers, and they are all looking at some of the larger points in this discussion. Last season, the 14 NWSL teams generated an estimated $262 million game day sponsorships and league revenue, and that's up more than 20% year to year. The expansion price for Mr. Blank and Atlanta United and AMBSC, $165 million for Atlanta to become Team 17, $2 million to get in 2021, $53 million in 2023, $110 million last time around in 25 for Denver and Boston, and so now $165 for Atlanta. So you're staring at those numbers for value of franchises in the NWSL now. Valuations themselves, once again, you're looking at the top 10 of the 14. And obviously 2 are coming in the door, so it's going to be bit random. But Angel City is running away with it. You have 2 teams running away with evaluations. Angel City right now is at 335. Market, sponsorships, those kinds of things. Kansas City is second at 315. Now remember, Kansas City is more than just a franchise. It is about a stadium that is theirs, training facility that is theirs, all of the infrastructure investments, plus all of the players that they have brought in to be successful. $315 million in value for Kansas City current. Bay comes in as an expansion team, and their value is $208 million. They basically have gone up at least by 50% since they've walked into the league. San Diego Wave at $200, Washington Spirit at $196, Portland Thorns at $186, Gotham at $175, Reign at $168, Courage at $150, and the Dash at $140. Notes on teams 9 and 10. Average revenue, $19 million a club in general. Gotham, by the way, up in value year to year, 119%. Values are up 179% from 2023 and up 22% year to year in revenue. News on the Courage came out yesterday, and it was Mark Lasry who is now investing in the Courage at a $155 million valuation. Once again, our friends at Sportico, Scott Soshnick, Eben Novy-Williams, and Kurt Badenhausen reached an agreement to invest $40 million into Courage at a $155 million pre-money valuation. It does not include a path to control the investment. And obviously, Lasry and the NWSL declined to comment on it. Once again, $155 million pre-money. Structured as a minority investment, Lasry taking a limited partner stake rather than path to majority control. And this follows a previous attempt by Lasry to acquire a controlling interest from Steve Malik when the value was at $108 million. And that stalled due to NWSL regs involving private equity firms holding majority ownership. And so now by opting for a limited partner stake, Avenue Sports Fund gets around those restrictions, and you still get in on the growth of the NWSL. 2022, the club raised capital at a $66 million valuation, meaning the organization's paper value has doubled in 3 years. Lasry sold his stake in the Bucks for $3.2 billion back in 23 and positioned Avenue Sports Fund as a major vehicle. Fund closed in late 24 with more than $1 billion in commitments and has already diversified into the Orioles, Ipswich, and the U.S. Sail GP team. And obviously the reason that it may have not been commented on publicly by the league or by Lasry is it still has to be approved by the NWSL board. But Mark Lasry is now in it is reported until it is laid out, that you are staring at things on a massive growth curve in the NWSL. So that's what you're looking at with Courage. And now also the Dash are up for sale. And that is something that is the second year in a row in Houston. It was attempted a year ago, then it was kind of pulled back from the Houston Chronicle. Once again, back up for sale. Ted Siegel tried to sell the team for $120 million. NWSL wasn't hot about the target that Ted Siegel had in this bid. The 24-year-old son, Richard Sau, whose father was in jail at the time in the late summer of last year for embezzlement. And Sportico, once again, it was for the RHC Group for $120 million. American-born son of currently imprisoned, and this is back in August, who was imprisoned Chinese billionaire Xiao Xianhua. BBC said Xiao had been sentenced to 13 years in prison after his company was fined $8 billion for embezzlement and bribery in Shanghai back in 2022. Before that, with Tomorrow Holdings, Xiao was considered one of China's richest billionaires. And so that got pulled off the table, and now Ted Siegel has put the Dash back on the market, and it's probably going to be at a higher rate, and we will see what that looks like when it comes to coming forward. All right, it's 10 o'clock, and once again, I don't know the topics. I know one, actually, because he has teased the ever-loving daylights out of it, having to do with Liga Portugal. I was hoping it was going to be about Goldbelly. Maybe that's something secondary. I don't know. We're working on that. Time to go to Lima, Peru, and find out what's going on with our buddy Nino Torres. Yellow. How you doing?
Yellow. Soccer Down here, fans. Nino Torres with you, fully loaded today on this gorgeous Thursday. We got fantastic news for all Liga Portugal, guys. And I want to tell you in a second or two or three, I want to share with you this.
Okay, well, then let me know. And that, because I've got a breaking news sounder. If you want me to play that ahead of time, I can do that. So when you're repped and ready, let me know, and we'll play the fancy music.
I think we're ready. I think we can kick off. Usually we go through the topics, right? But I think we can kick off with that. So go ahead and hit it, brother. Hit the breaking news because we're coming.
All right, breaking news according to our friend Nino Torres. All right, sir. What is said breaking news?
So you see this, right? You see this microphone here?
Uh-huh.
This is your life. This is my life. And that means that we are back behind the mics with Liga Portugal via Fubo. All right? Liga Portugal is going to be streaming on Fubo TV. And I just received the call. I got the confirmation. And, we're still going to work on this. We got to finish the season. We still have the rights. So you might be interested in calling the games for Liga Portugal. Yeah, of course, brother. So we're back. We're back, and we're back with a massive weekend, man. It could have been better. I couldn't have asked for a better scenario, man. We got two Clásicos, brother. We got 14 versus Braga on Saturday. And we got the Clásico, Benfica versus Porto on Sunday. Bigger and better than ever. Nino Torres is back behind the mics with the Liga Portugal, guys.
Bam. I love it. That is fantastic. And how does this impact your making of the fattening chocolate desserts, sir? I mean, inquiring minds now. We got to figure this out.
Yeah, no, we're good. We're good because it's not as many games as we used to. I'm not going to be calling like 5-7 games and during the week. No, it's just going to be half of that, right? We're 3-4 games a week. So, yeah, but we got time. We got time to figure out everything else. So, where everything lines up perfectly with the business and with my career.
Okay, yes. And so I'm posting on the Twitters that it is a breaking news. And I'm doing it in all caps, breaking news, because that is breaking news on Liga Portugal. Now, I'm hitting post. So it is out there on the planet with you, and that is fantastic. I love that. How long has this been in discussion? Was this something pretty quick?
It was quick. It was quick. I just got the call. When was that? On Monday, Nino. And we're figuring things out. We wanted to know if you're on board or not, because we might be. If not, then we call someone else. But we call you first. we call you first, and of course they know that I'm not going to say no, right? But we make sure that we reach out to you first. Before everyone else. So you got the first priority as always for us. That's what they told me. And so let us know. We'll let you know. We're gonna do some tests. So and we're gonna be ready for the weekend, because we got big games coming up in the week.
We do. All right. Speaking of said league, and you got other stuff going on here. So you have topic number 2. We'll get into juice boxes on the league before we wrap up. So put that in. Yes, proper hydration. Got to save the pipes, man. You got matches to call. Liga Portugal weekend on football.
Yes, sir.
Right. Topic number 2. VAR is a. Let me see if I can do it in the Nino Torres voice. VAR is a disaster zone in the Liga Una. Was that close?
It is. So, Johnny, what are the situations when VAR can intervene the game, right? Right?
Yeah, I do.
It's a penalty, right?
Yeah.
If it's a red card or not. If it's offside, of course, so they got to check the lines and all that. But do you know that they can use that also for corner kicks?
No.
Of course not. Of course not. They stopped the game. They called the referee in the last play action of the game in the Alianza Lima game versus Sport Huancayo. So the ball goes out, and the referee he was going to say, it's a goal kick. Let's just goal kick the last. We're like 30 seconds left on the clock. I'll go kick. I was like, hold on a second. And the problem is, right, they release the out. You know what happened there, right? At first, he was getting the call, and it might be an offside, might be checking on a red card or something. And then he said, oh, no, it's a corner kick. Mm-hmm. What do you mean? You the call that they tell you corner kick, and it's not a goal kick? And everybody was, it can't be right. It can't be right. But they released the audios. And that's exactly why they were calling him. Hey, Mickey, you know what? It's going to be a corner kick, man. It's a corner kick. The ball. No, you don't call the referee for that. You don't do that. I mean, where's your who's the head of training for the referees in Peru? Give me that guy and put everybody in classes for VAR for the next, 6 months or so. And solve this issue, because it's ridiculous. Jenny, how? And the big issue is that, of course, it was not Sport Huancayo, sorry, it was UTC. Of course, the president of UTC, the team that was affected by the decision, they released the audios, and all right, we're going to present a formal complaint to the league, because it would be affected. And there's a precedent for this before in Belgium. There was a penalty. The players invade the zone, and they didn't retake the penalty. They did not retake the penalty. So they went ahead and, this is not according to the protocols. And when you don't follow the protocols, you can replay the match, or what was the other option? I don't know what's another option, or suspend the match.
Go back to the point of the event and then play it forward.
Right, but they can do that, because they're not going to play it 30 seconds. So they're now they have to replay the game or withdraw the goal and remain as a draw, because it was a goal winner. It was a goal winner. So now it's a big mess, man. It's a big mess here in Peru. And you know what's the funny part? Because there's a lot of media they're pro Alianza Lima, right? It's ridiculous, man. I know, you know me, I'm Universitario de Deportes and all for that, but it's I don't do that, brother. I can't block the light of the sun with my finger. I just can't do that. All right. So they were saying this. Oh, all of you, you're so stupid. How dare you thinking that the referee got the call because it was a corner kick and without knowing the audios. But then they released the audios and they're like, you see, so who's stupid now? So, you know. It's just this.
Oh God!
I don't know they're so entitled, man. They feel so entitled that they think that they're Real Madrid of Peru or something, and they're not even the biggest team in the nation. It's crazy. It's because there's a lot of media outlets that they support those decisions. They support the way that they present the facts for Alianza, and when it's not for Alianza, it's not right. If it's not their way, it's not the right way. It doesn't work like that, bro. It doesn't work like
that. We were talking last week about the end of Gallardo 2.0, trying to figure out who the new coach was going to be. You had it locked down, and so it is now officially official. It is Coudet, who he is the new head coach at River Plate. Man, he's got a lot of work to do.
Big. I mean, big moment for El Chacho. And I told you last week that when the Coudet is number one, the number one option, he's going to be the coach. He's not going to forget about the rest, and the rest is just to fill up the news and on titles and all that. Now Coudet is going to be the coach, and there you go. That's exactly what happened with El Chacho. He's a man of real play. He's a man that he has a different approach than Gallardo. And of course, he said this, I got a big shoes to fill because I'm here to replace the winningest coach in the history of the club.
Yeah.
Right. And so he understands it's a big responsibility for him. But on the other side, because of he's hasn't won that match as Gallardo. He hasn't had that sport. But he has a room for improvement also for him personally as a coach and for the team to improve, especially in the offensive department, because somebody better start scoring goals in that Real Plate squad because when your strikers haven't scored a goal in 14 matches, you got a big problem. And I think that's the biggest problem for Real Plate. That's the biggest problem for Real Plate. But also, with a new coach, with a fresh look, with a fresh approach, it might release attention to. It might release attention, and I'm on the squad, and I think he's gonna tone it down the approach with the players, because it was this all like everybody was looking at Gallardo like he was on a pedestal, right out there, and now when you level the field, sometimes it's better. Sometimes it's better for the group, for the club, for the team, and I think we're going to see more of a collective effort now with Real Plate under Chacho Coudet. Yeah.
Okay. Topic number 4. CR41 in Lima, Peru? ? 2 of them, and you say it's possible. How is
it?
Hey, look, he's 41, so it's CR41.
Okay.
I mean, it is CR41 in Lima, Peru, and you go, it's possible. How is this possible that CR41 could be in Lima, Peru?
So it was all over the news here in Peru in the last couple of days because Al Nasser is gonna make a Latin American tour. Okay, that includes Venezuela, El Salvador, and among those stops. They're adding Peru, okay? They're adding Peru. So between August and September, the dates are not set yet, but the venue is set, and that's the Monumental because it's the biggest stadium in the country. Of course, you won CR7. Everybody, 80,000 people. I think there's gonna be enough. Not enough seats to watch Cristiano Ronaldo in Lima. It's gonna be massive, man, and And then we'll be. We're so glad that in the last 2 years we got the last two kings to play the game here. Messi first came last year, and then this year Cristiano Ronaldo. So it's a pleasure, and I can't wait, man. Hopefully I can make it to the to that game, and we'll let you know. I'll let you know if I can make it once everything is said, the dates and the tickets and all that. I wanna try to see if we can get a ticket, or if I can get, I don't know, squishing some with the media or something.
Oh, I mean, dude, look, you're Nino Torres of Fubo TV, man. You ought to be able to sit there and apply as, Fubo TV's Nino Torres, getting a press credential, sitting in that booth and break everything down. Because, I mean, you got to report back to the Americas. You got to let everybody know what's going on. You have a responsibility to the fans in North America about what's going on down there every single week. And when you have a moment like that could happen involving CR41, you got to apply, brother. You got to sit there and go, I'm going in there because I want to see this go down, because I got folks I got to talk to about it. That's
yes, sir. Yes, sir. We'll do it, man. We'll do it. We'll do it, man. Well, I'm going to pull it off. As soon as I get the dates and everything is all said and done with the arrival of Cristiano Ronaldo to Lima, Peru. I can't even believe this, man. I'll be there, man. I'll be there. I'm gonna make it happen. I'm gonna make it happen.
All right.
Yeah.
One more topic here before we break down everything in Liga Portugal for the weekend. Real Madrid, the reality show that needs to come to an end soon. Yeah.
It's a freak show, man. It's a freak show. And you know what's the sad part? It's that back in the day when there was a real reality show with Bex and Figo and Zidane and Ronaldo, I mean, real superstars, because with all due respect, this Real Madrid doesn't have true superstars. Okay, Mbappe. Yeah. I want to say Mbappe.
Yeah.
All right, just one. But that back then, I mean, he was insane. That was a real, a real show that they were putting on. They were traveling all over the world, that they so much years than everyone in planet in the history of the game, and la la la. And that's why they were so busy doing business outside of the pitch and not getting so much on the pitch, because they couldn't win a freaking single Champions League with those old superstars. Because in part because after every game from Barajas, all the private jets were going to Monaco, were going to Milan, they were going to party all over Europe, and they were coming back on Monday all trashed to play under Carlito Ancelotti and company. It's just, it was way too much fun that they were having. That's not the case here. Here is drama. Vinicius with the drama on the pitch against Getafe, trying to stop the player for over-celebrating. Right? For over-celebrating. Why are you celebrating? This is my house. You cannot celebrate. And then the Mbappe complaining about everything. Then Arbeloa doesn't know how to manage his team. And on top of that, they're losing to Barcelona, losing in the league. And most likely they will lose to Man City. Most likely they I think right now is the perfect moment for Pep Guardiola to beat his rivals, and he knows that he has a thing because he's a Barcelona guy. So if you put Madrid in front of him, it's an extra motivation for Pep every single time that they have to play Real Madrid. That, by the way, they play how many times in the last? I think they played every year. Out of the last 6 years, they played 5 times. In the last 6 years, they played 5 times. Man City and Real Madrid in the Champions League, and it's gonna happen again. And I think it will be good for Madrid to be ousted by the Manchester City, to see first off who's he gonna coach his team? Who's gonna coach his team? The only man in the planet capable, with the credentials, with the aura, with the respect, is Zinedine Zidane. And I don't know if Zizou is gonna return, and maybe we'll see. But that's it. If I'm Florentino, I'm like, that's my first guy the first guy that I'm calling. I don't know if they're gonna call him or not, but we'll see. We'll see. It's a freak show, man. It's a reality show. It's just a show, and everything else all combined in there, man. It's a show.
Yes. Okay. And so now we get to circle back to the beginning.
Yep.
Because he's back, Liga Portugal on Fubo TV. And so now we get to preview what's going on in the league, and we get to update everybody as to where things stand. And so right now, coming in to this weekend, we are heading into match week 25, and the standings as we know them. Porto is 4 points clear of Sporting. Sporting has a far superior goal difference at the moment, plus 50 to plus 39, 4 points back. Yep. Benfica is third at 58 points. They've won 4 in a row. Braga is fourth at 45 points. So basically, you've got the 3. You know what your 2 European spots are going to look like. You know what your Europa League spot's going to look like. And Braga right now is fourth, looking like Conference League is going to be theirs. Then you get everybody with the chaos after Gil Vicente is at 40 points. They've lost 2 in a row. They're in 5th. Then then you have Famalicão, who's in 6th at 36. Moreirense is 7th at 34. Estoril at 33. Vitória Guimarães at 32. That's your chase group. And then you've got Alverca at 27, Arouca at 26, Estrela at 24, Casapia at 23, Nacional, who has lost 4 of 5 and 3 in a row, is at 21 points, only ahead of Rio Ave on goal difference. Santa Clara is in the relegation playoff spot in 16th at 19 points ahead of Tondela, who is at 19 behind on goal difference, and AFS, who got a point recently, but they're at 9 on the year. They've only won once in the first 24. So we go into the weekend. Famalicão favored at home against Arouca at a minus 125. That's tomorrow at 3:15.
Yes, sir.
Then Saturday, Alverca favored at home against AFS, no shock. Moreirense favored at home on the plus side against Nacional at a plus 135. Then there's this matchup, 1 o'clock in the afternoon. I don't know if you've heard of this one. Braga at home hosting Sporting. Sporting is on the plus side, but a favorite at a plus 104. Draws a plus 250. Braga is a plus 240 at 1 o'clock on Saturday afternoon.
So, big Clásico ahead of us on Saturday. Sporting visiting Braga, visiting the Bishops, which they've been struggling this season in the when playing home. By the way, Johnny, you got. I don't know when this is gonna happen, but I'm gonna be there. The first stadium that I want to visit when I go to Europe is that one, the Municipal de Braga. It's gonna be a night game because he has the most unique lighting features. The stadium is on top of the hill. You can see the city from there. It's just absolutely gorgeous. That's my number one stadium that I want to visit when I go to Europe. But the Bishops, they're Bishops, man, Bishops. Why? It's always that you got high expectations from Braga every single season. You know, you got Rodrigo Salazar in fantastic form this year, but there's always something happening with them. Always something happened with them that they cannot just crack the code and break into that third spot. They don't. I mean, I don't know when is that going to happen, that they're going to break that ceiling glass that they have ahead of them, because they have the power, they got the players, they got then the coach is a problem, because they switch coaches like crazy. That front office of Braga might be the one that is hurting the team. But on this Saturday, the firepower that Sporting is having this season, they just completely forgot about Victor Gyökeres. I think so. I forgot about him. I forgot about it. If I forgot about it, you too, guys. You too, all my Sportingistas, because there was all these concerns, right? What if Lucha Suarez is he that good? Is he gonna score as many goals as Victor? Well, let's check it out, man. How many games? 24. How many goals? 22. I think he's pretty damn good, brother. I think it's pretty damn good, right? Only 2 penalties. Only 2 penalties. So give me the pistolero. Give me a pistolero back. I'm putting all my money on Sporting to win this weekend and to put the pressure on the Dragons that are going to be facing the almighty Eagles on Sunday.
So he's on the plus side. So there are a couple of juice boxes that you can gain right now to plus 104. It's not a minus, so having to sit there and just throw in an extra just to get back your 100. But you're on the plus side at Sporting. Late game on Saturday is Estoril favored at home against Casapia. Estoril's a minus 133. Then East Coast time, 11:30. So it's brunch Sunday morning. Gil Vicente favored on the road at a minus 120 at Estrella, who's a plus 375. Then 2 o'clock Eastern time, U.S. Benfica and Porto. Benfica is a plus 110. Draws a plus 229. Porto is a plus 250 on the road at Benfica.
Plus 250, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Interesting, huh? Interesting. So how much is Benfica, Johnny, again?
Benfica is a plus 110. So like it was with Sporting, favored on the plus side. So there's some wiggle room there for you. Favored on the plus side at plus 110. Porto plus 250 on the road.
You know, on the reverse fixture, that was the first Clásico for Mourinho, and that was the first time that Porto dropped points in the season in that first Clásico of the season. But here, it's a different story. He's not going to park the bus like the way he did in the first game of the season against Porto. No, he can't do that, because if they drop points again, season is over for Benfica. So it's all or nothing for the Eagles, and it'll be fantastic to for Benfica to win and to put the things so tight again. There will be then Porto only 1 point clear of Sporting, and then Benfica knocking on the door of Sporting too. So they'll be back to a 3-team race if Benfica wins the game. That is a must-win game for Benfica, for Mourinho. Hopefully it's a good game. I just hoping it's a wild game, something like, I don't know, 3-2 or something like that. I want something spectacular for my return, man. That's all I'm asking, man. So I'm excited. Hopefully, I don't want any any 1-0 things. No. I want something wild. I want fireworks. I want a party. I want everything, man.
So if you got your 3-2, the over/under at 4.5 is a plus 800, by the way.
Plus 800. That's a lot.
Plus 800 at 4.5 to go over. So that's the number currently that is attached to that matchup. So if you got fireworks, you get your fireworks at a plus 800. So that would be the rundown of that one. Then the matches to wrap up the weekend after you and catch your breath. 4:30 Eastern on Sunday, Santa Clara. Slight favorite at home against Vitória Guimarães. And then Monday afternoon football, which is Monday night football. Tondela favored at home against Rio Ave. It is plus 114 for Tondela. Rio Ave is a plus 250. And we're talking Liga Portugal because, by the way, if you didn't hear it, back. Liga Portugal, Fubo TV with our man Nino Torres. I love it. That is the best news that we could get for you and hopping back in for Match Week 25 and beyond on Fubo TV. And it is fantastic. That is the best news I could get on a Thursday, my friend. We love you very much. Save those pipes because you got 2 good ones on Fubo TV coming up this weekend.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm so excited, Johnny. I'm so blessed. I'm so happy. Just you have no idea. I mean, when I got the call, first I got the message. Hey, Nino, can I call you? I was like, yeah, you can call me, brother, anytime. Anytime. So I got the call and I was like, yeah, thank you God for this, man, for this opportunity to be behind the mics, which is what I love to do, man.
And we love to hear it, and we love to have you here every Thursday. Love you very much, my friend. Have good calls. We'll talk about them again next week.
All right, see you guys. Take care.
There he goes. Nino Torres, back behind the stick. Fubo TV, Liga Portugal. That's the breaking news. Like I said, and he posted that as topic number 1, by the way, when he sent it to me. And I still hadn't looked at it. So, like I said, I didn't know what the breaking news was, but that's the best breaking news that we could get on a Thursday. Nino Torres back on Liga Portugal calls, starting with match week 25. He's got 2 Clásicos coming up this weekend, one on Saturday, one on Sunday, all on Fubo TV. So if there is a way to find Fubo TV with those Liga Portugal matchups with our buddy Nino Torres, go find him. Then this way you can continue to have conversations with him on his social medias. I don't think I'm not going to do it either. We get to have running conversations with Nino while he's calling Liga Portugal matches and break it all down. So that is awesome. That is blanking awesome. He is back calling Liga Portugal on Fubo TV. So Fubo TV, Liga Portugal. He's got the 2 Clásicos this weekend, one on Saturday, one on Sunday. And this way he doesn't have to, call, as he says, he doesn't have to call like 7 matches in a weekend. He doesn't have to do that. Just has to do the 1 per day, and he's got the 1 per day. And they're Clásicos, which is blanking awesome. Coming up around the corner, it's Niko Moreno from Pulso Sports and Sounder at Heart. And we will break down everything in the Western Conference. We'll start with Seattle, and we'll work our way through all the other juice boxes and get you ready for everything in Major League Soccer. Once again, reminder tomorrow, let's see if we can catch up with our friends at Beyond Goals Mentoring. And then from there, Miguel Gallardo from Apple TV is going to be joining us at 10 o'clock. And that will be his breakdown of what he's seen so far this season in Major League Soccer as he comes through the curtain for the first time with our conversations that we have with our friends from Apple on Friday mornings at 10 during the MLS season. Right there. That is their block. And they can bring whoever they wish to bring. Like I said, our friend Kirk Reynolds, the resident gaucho at Major League Soccer. I said, okay, give me somebody. Don't care who, we'll talk. And so it's the first time for Miguel Gallardo joining us tomorrow at 10 o'clock here on the morning show. And so it's going to be fun to break down everything and get through all of the other news that's going on. We mentioned what's going on with the EFL Championship. They're adding 2. And so next season, it's going to be 3-4, waiting for 5, 6, 7, and 8. Winners there take on 3 and 4, and then they advance from there. Toronto FC has acquired Chilean center back Benjamin Kusevich on loan from Fortaleza, and they are in the 2nd division in Brazil. It's loan for the duration of the 26th season with an option to purchase. He will occupy an international roster slot, added to the roster pending receipt of his medicals and the ITC. Quote from Jason Hernandez about him. Kusevich joins Toronto at the age of 29. Past 3 seasons have been with Fortaleza, 79 appearances, 4 goals, all comps. The Campeonato, the local competitions that Jason talks about, Cearense, Serie A, Libertadores, Copa do Nordeste, Copa do Brasil, and Sudamericana. Santiago Chile native played for Fortaleza while the club was competing in the 1st division for 24 and 25, 77 of 79 appearances there. He was with Coritiba in 23. Palmeiras in the previous 4 seasons, 77 appearances for both clubs. Palmeiras, he was one of the most successful spells in his career, 8 titles with the Verdão from 20 to 23, Libertadores twice, Copa do Brasil in 2020, the Recopa in 22, Campeonato Brasileiro in 22, Campeonato Paulista, the local competition in 22, and the Supercopa in 23. So 14 caps for the Chilean men's national team, senior club debut in a friendly against Honduras back in 2018. So Toronto acquires Benjamin Kusevich from Fortaleza on loan for the remainder of the season. There is a purchase option to follow. And if you missed this, Atlanta United matches are going to re-air locally on Fox 5. First rebroadcast is going to air March the 7th, featuring the full replay of the matchup against San Jose. And so all original live broadcast of Atlanta United remaining exclusively on Apple. Fox 5 replay scheduled to air within an MLS-mandated window beginning 48 hours post-match to 7 days following the live broadcast. The encores scheduled to air every Saturday from 9 to 11. So every Saturday, 9 to 11, it is going to be a re-air of your Atlanta United match on Fox 5 here locally. So very, very cool that was broken out this morning when it comes to the breaking news component of everything. So that's very, very cool that the Atlanta United matches, they are going to be on Fox 5 in a re-airing situation. So keep an eye out for when that's going to happen. But this Saturday against it's going to be San Jose. And then from there, it's going to be back in against everything. And the normal schedule picks back up after this week. So it is going to be Atlanta United on Fox 5 in a re-air Saturday mornings leading into a Saturday night match. So there's that window's there, and so it's mandated that it has to be within a certain time frame. But so Fox 5 gets your re-airs this season for Atlanta United. So very, very cool stuff there. And after Niko will get into what to watch, where to watch it, how to watch it. We'll get into all of the gossip, rumor, and innuendo. Remember tonight, 5:30 and 7:30. It is Utopian Academy and Social Circle in Social Circle. I'll have the call for you on those on the network. SoccerDownHere.net. Go to the Listen tab. You'll see the big red bar that says live. You hit that. That's the channel that we're on. It could be SDH 1 or 2. Just bang on that channel, and you'll hear the broadcasts at 5:30 and 7:30 on the high schools. All right, so it is the final half hour of the show until we go added time, of course. And it is time to bring in our friend. We'll find out what cup of coffee Niko Moreno is on from Pulso Sports and Sounder at Heart. We bring him in as we've gone from Lima, Peru to Seattle, Washington, and find out what's going on with the man wearing the Wazoo lid on the morning. How are you, my friend?
Hey, what's going on, John? SDH family, we are here. It is Thursday. This is cup number 2. I am ready to go. Woke up early again this morning. We're back at it now. Got all the juices flowing. I'm ready to go.
All right. So we will waste no time and find out about the week that you have experienced. And going backward, obviously, we've got to start with Seattle. 15th time in a row that there has not been a result on the winning side for Seattle at Rio Tinto. Juggled lineup for RSL because of injuries and such. No Luna, no Yedlin, no a couple of others. And it still ends up as RSL with the youngins getting the win. Now that you've had a couple days to think about it, what sticks in your head?
Look, there is just no explanation for the Sounders' inability to win at America First Field. There's just no real explanation. This particular game was unlike probably any that the Sounders have had over the last 3 or 4 years because they were just so much better than RSL for large parts of this game. It took Rafael Cabral to have a phenomenal, almost superhero-like performance to keep RSL from either losing that game or at the very least dropping points, because there was a certain part of the game where the Sounders found their groove. I think in the second half, some of the substitutions really helped out the transition play for the Sounders. I thought that they were a lot more direct when Musovski was on the field. And overall, I just thought that RSL, as the game went on, they started getting deeper and deeper and giving more of not just the ball for the Sounders, but giving them more field, and they absorbed a lot of pressure. But look, Cabral just had a phenomenal game, and I don't want to take anything away from RSL. I thought they were very good. They knew they were going to be direct. They knew that they were going to be a team that was going to look for the spaces behind the back line for the Seattle Sounders. The Sounders practiced it all week. They knew what they were going to get into when it came to this RSL team, and still RSL was able to do it. Gazzo had a phenomenal game. I think Hazakani is a very promising young man. He reminds me of RSL's version of Paul Rothrock. I think he's going to be in the rotation this year. Obviously, the big DPs are going to come in, and the big new acquisitions are going to come in, so he might not get all the play time, but he was very good. Nuhu had a hard time. I think defensively, that's the biggest problem for Seattle in this particular game. There was just so many moments, so many times where, whether it was not winning the duels or just ball watching. That second goal is straight up ball watching. I'm not sure why Nuhu is that high up the field. I'm not sure why he's not checking his shoulder, checking his hip to know where Gazzo's at. It's one ball from Quinton. He's out in space. Yamar is late. Jackson Reagan is late. It was just a bad second goal to give up. But again, credit to RSL for putting a really good lineup together. Also for those young kids that this might make RSL a contender in the West. I think that if you look at what Sanabria was able to do as a new guy coming in, and their new number 9, whose name I'm going to butcher, so I won't say, but he came in the second half for about 20 minutes, and he slips a ball through that ends up in a big save from Andrew Thomas, and then he gets an opportunity late in the game to put a ball away, and is also saved by Andrew Thomas. But he looks really good. I think RSL is really working with something, but RSL gets the win. Sounders go back home once again without a loss. They haven't won in RSL since 2012. We'll see what happens. There's no logical explanation other than Rafael Cabral did it all.
Yep, Rafa Cabral on the night. Yeah, we talk about goalies standing on their heads in situations. 6 saves on the night. Goals prevented, if you believe in these kinds of numbers, 1.64. Saves inside the 18. He had 4 of those. 1 punch clear and 2 runouts on the night. You mentioned Morgan Gilavogi, who came in for 20 minutes, and in his 20, it was more like 18 plus, but XG of 0.48, 2 shots. XG on target, so the X got. It's like they're just throwing X's at me now, and I have no earthly idea what they are. I'm just sitting here reading X numbers now. 0.32 expected goals on target, 0.48 expected goals. So XG and X got. I'm like, okay, fine. 1 shot on target, 1 big chance missed, 1 offside for Gilavogi as he's getting into Pablo Mastroeni rhythm. You mentioned that right-hand side with RSL coming to Atlanta. We caught up with Landon Southwick from RSL yesterday, and the notion that Hezer Khani, and this is all things being equal. Like I said, we don't know the injury status of Diego Luna or DeAndre Yedlin or the other 3, Olatunji or the other 2 that did not play. But all things being equal with that starting 11, look at the right-hand side of the attack with Hezer Khani and Gozo going up against the left-hand side of the defense. That's my matchup, and that's kind of what I'm staring at, all things being equal, not knowing health status going in. Lineup for you. You mentioned Andrew Thomas in net, back 4, Nuhu, Jackson Reagan, Yamar, and Alex Roldan. Hassani Dotson, who had he got the oopsie call from Pro about his goal. Christian Roldan, Ferreira, Rusnak, Rothrock, and Osaze de Rosario up top. So, yeah, Hassani Dotson got the word from the league that, we had an oopsie on your goal. So, yay, great. Thanks for telling me that now, huh?
Yeah, really appreciate it, refs. That's not going to do me any good, but I don't want to take too much time, but I do appreciate that transparency from Pro. They got to do better. We talked enough about re-refereeing. You could definitely hear that that's the case from the audio, and they definitely got it wrong. But that's all right. Unfortunately for Hassani, he didn't have a great game against RSL. I was surprised that Brian was a little more complimentary than I thought. Maybe he's just trying to protect him. He's young. He's new to the system. He's new to the team. But that first goal, if he clears that ball rather than trying to put a compromising ball into Christian Roldan, it doesn't get picked up. It doesn't get put out to Sanabria. Sanabria doesn't put it into the 18 where Hezer Khani is able to get his shot on it. But that's just what happened. So Jose Rosario is another player that in this starting 11, his leash is very short. I think maybe he gets one more run in as the starter against St. Louis. But if he doesn't perform, it might be that Danny Musovski show one more time until Jordan Morris gets back. Maybe not. Maybe he stays the 9. But, yeah.
Paul Arriola came in as a sub late in the second half, and by all accounts, when you're catching up with Paul these days, he says he's ready to go full, start the engines, and I'm good to go. What's the feedback on that?
Paul Arriola, I'm going to go ahead and just bring it out. I think Paul Arriola is going to start against St. Louis City.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's going to be ready for 90. But the big news this week at a training, Paul Rothrock apparently did something to his ankle in this RSL game. He has not practiced yet. Brian Smetzer said that they're looking at it, that he hit it or knocked it. This kind of the word that he used, dinged it. But he hasn't been around, and I'm not hearing that he is been in the facility necessarily. So I don't know what's going on. I'll be down there today, but that's something to look at. An ankle could be difficult. It could be something else. Georgie Manungu also has an injury that apparently is going to be, he's going to stay with the team and he's going to be available depending on his pain tolerance. Doesn't sound great. Brian said he's got a crack in his right foot, so some sort of fracture, but he's going to be playing on it. So wingers are starting to fall for the Sounders. No Jordan Morris. Obviously now with Georgie Manungu, we'll see what happened. And Paul Rothrock, hopefully nothing's wrong, but yeah, not looking great. But for sure, Paul won't be ready for this game on Saturday. So it will be Paul Arriola. I see maybe a Sounders team that is going to play in the 3-5-2 with Paul Arriola as that wing back in the absence of Paul Rothrock. So yeah, lots happening here for the Sounders.
Yeah, and you're going up against a St. Louis City team that you don't really know what to expect. Joao Klaus goes in the offseason. He's now with LAG. He's doing what you anticipated that he would be doing in a St. Louis uni. In Los Angeles now. Offensively challenged is probably the best way that I would phrase St. Louis from what I've seen. They're trying to make the home matches there difficult for opposition. What kind of matchup are you anticipating with this one so far?
It's going to be a game that's going to be hard to analyze because the Sounders have a midweek game against the Whitecaps for CCC. I think there's going to be some rotation. I think St. Louis is a team that wants to play with the ball, but they don't really necessarily have all the weapons. I think they depend a lot out of Edelman and Durkin to really handle the ball and perhaps give them a little bit of tempo and control the tempo, but they haven't been able to do it because San Diego was just so much better. Charlotte, I thought they were better than Charlotte in game one, but they were unable to get the win. They did get the draw, but they're a decent team. We'll see what happens with Sergio Cordova. Can he play? I don't know if his paperwork will get through. I don't really know if he fits necessarily, but I mean, he's a guy that they're bringing in. I do think that a Betcher is more fit for the system, is that energizer bunny. He's going to push, he's going to pull, he's going to get in there. Maybe not as technical as other players, but he is definitely that guy for that system. Hurdle continues to be the most talented player for that offense, but can he get there? Can he be available for this game? We'll see. But San Luis is a decent team. I like what they do with the ball. I like they had small moments against San Diego where they're switching the point of attack. They're finding themselves with some really good combinations in the final third, but maybe they just don't have that quality finisher to make them a little bit better. So to your point, that's probably what they're missing.
Okay, so you mentioned rotation because of the Triple C in the midweek. And just to let everybody know, the subs in the matchup against RSL, you had KKR come in for 30, Kalani Kosi Rienzi. He came in for Yamar. Snyder Brunel came in for 30, replacing Jesus Ferreira. You mentioned Musovski and Osaze de Rosario. That was the triple change that happened with about 30 minutes to go. Areola, we talked about him coming in for Hassani Dotson. Nikola Petkovic comes in for a cup of coffee for Rusnak. Would you anticipate, and I'm guessing you would anticipate more rotation in this match in St. Louis so you could be at as close to 100% in the matchup in the midweek against Vancouver in the Triple C, yeah?
I think so. It's early in MLS season. MLS season can be very easy to finish strong on. And I know that Brian Smetzer has said that he wants to put a lot of his effort into MLS play. But I do think that with how things are working out, you're going to be able to rotate. You will get perhaps KKR playing on the right side instead of Alex Roldan. Maybe you rest him. He's had a lot of minutes. Maybe you don't see Jesus Ferreira in this one. He's another player that you might want to save for the midweek game. You might get to see more of Nikola Petrovic. You might get to see a little bit more out of all these players. I do think that Snyder Brunel would be the guy that it's ahead in the pecking order. He looked really good as one of the subs that you mentioned in that RSL game. He just understands what he needs to do in being one of those three midfielders in the inside when you're getting the width from the wing backs. Defensively, he was really good. He pushes the ball. He had a phenomenal shot inside the 18 with like a minute or two left of the game that, again, Cabral just had sticky glue in his gloves and just stops it immediately. But Burnell just finds the pockets very well. So I think that he will be one of those guys that might get a shot against San Luis. But I do expect the rotation to be more for this particular game, and that you might get a stronger 11 for that midweek game against Vancouver Whitecaps.
One shot on target in 32 plus minutes for Brunel. Passing on the afternoon or the evening, 14 of 15, 93%. Had one cross attempted in 11 for 11 passing in the offensive half for Seattle. I thought that was really interesting to break that down for Snyder Brunel. All right, let's take the tour. One game that we don't have to worry about because of Mother Nature, Revs in Houston. That one has been postponed until a further time when Mother Nature is not looking, and they can actually get this one done in Foxborough. Then you've got, so obviously RSL coming to Atlanta. And RSL is a dog at a plus 220. We'll go ahead and lead off with Atlanta since it's early in the day. It is Atlanta at a plus 110. RSL at a plus 220, and your draw is a plus 270. What do you think?
I think it's a hard game for Atlanta. Out of what we've seen so far, I mean, I watch Atlanta always with this high expectation, and I unfortunately come off disappointed. And it's not that they don't have the talent or that they don't have moments, but it's the lack of consistency over 90 minutes. There's sporadic moments where you see some of those offensive movements and you see some of what they can do. But I think RSL right now is a more structured team. A lot of these new acquisitions are going to be able to get on the field for them, and I think they're going to raise the level of play for RSL. So difficult game for Atlanta. I'm still taking the draw in this one. I do think that there will be enough there for Atlanta to hopefully be a lot better than they have been over the first two games and get that draw.
All right. Also on the board, let's see. You got, and like I said, we'll just cliffhanger it. And if there's anything that you want to talk about, you just yell at me and start talking. You got the purple team at NYC, Messi and friends at DC United, Austin is at Charlotte, Fire is at Crew. We had Chris Doran, the play-by-play voice of Columbus Crew, on in hour number one. San Jose's at Philadelphia. You want to talk clash of styles? You've got San Jose going to Philly at a plus 350. Philadelphia, who is going to be down Oluwetu Olumakanya because of the red card he picked up, I guess, for Magic Words on last weekend.
Yes.
So you're not going to have Makanya at the back to help you out against San Jose. Timo Werner now in the lineup for San Jose, probably going to get more than the cup of coffee he did last time. Maybe he starts. I don't know. But Philly's
I think so.
Favored at a minus 137 as San Jose comes to town at a plus 350.
Well, let's start with the purple team because that one's interesting. I think that Orlando City, I don't know what happened in that second half, whether they just pissed off Lionel Messi in one end, and then I felt like Oscar Pereira, rather than continuing to push the envelope, I think he got a little bit conservative. And once Silvetti came onto the field, they really stretched out Orlando. They really pushed them back. Ojeda mentioned it after the game. I do think that there was an upgrade to what we saw in week one from Orlando. I like their offensive output. I really do. I think that there's something there. I thought that the Dorsey acquisition was low-key underrated, and he really worked out. Him and Ojeda had this beautiful passing sequence that leads to a Ojeda goal that, man, I just really like what I see from Orlando. New York City, they're just a little toothless. They just don't have that firepower up top. They just didn't really replace that 9 that they lost because of injury. So to me, Orlando City is going to get the first win of their 2026 campaign in New York. And that might be interesting in the numbers. Well, what are the numbers on that one?
Plus 300 for the purple.
Wow. Ouch. Well, you know what? We're going to lock it down. We're not going to let the numbers scare us off. John, we're not. We're going to stick to Orlando City, and I think that there will be a clash of the way these two teams are set up. New York City has moments, and I like Nico, and I like Daryl Hayda as well up top, and they have moments where I see where they're going with it. I just don't know if they have enough in line to beat Orlando. If you want to beat Orlando, I think you need to be better offensively, especially when they're cooking. So this is a herd team. This is a Oscar Pareja that I know he's a prideful guy. He does not want to start without 3 wins. So I'm going to take him this weekend.
Now, the plus 300, I don't blame you. A draw, by the way, is a plus 290 if that makes you feel any better. So you can pretty much
there you go.
get it either way, either with the draw or the outright win for the purple team. Nashville and Minnesota United at Geodis. It is an 8:40 Eastern time kick, so 5:40 for you. Minnesota's a plus 340. Draw is a plus 290. And Nashville is a minus 133 at home at Geodis. So that
what's the draw?
Plus 290.
Well, I like that draw. I really do. Look, Nashville has been also a letdown. And I don't mean that like this is going to be Nashville throughout the whole season, but it just seems like things are still trying to coagulate, to just get together, to be a little bit more cohesive. Not seeing the Espinosa that we're used to seeing. He's not as instinctful as he typically is. I think he's trying to get used to the system. Mukhtar has had ups and down games. I think Nahar also hasn't been the Nahar of old. So in the attack is where I have my issues. And it's not just the fact that they're not getting goals, is just the fact that they are not creating enough chances, and they're really struggling in that department where you thought that with the pieces that they brought in, that was going to be an easy no-brainer, that they were going to get better at chance creation, but the volume hasn't been there for Nashville. That concerns me. But in this particular game against Minnesota, we'll see what happens if James Rodriguez is ever going to start, is ever going to play a game. I think maybe in this one he could get minutes, but to me this has draw written all over it.
Okay, plus 290. Sporting hosting San Diego FC, the Croman Azul, as they hit the road going up against Sporting. Sporting, so far they've kind of skated by. They've gotten some decent numbers. A lot of folks thought that they were going to be looking in the cupboard for the spoon that is wooden, but they got a big point against Columbus last time out. And they are a plus 300 at home hosting San Diego FC at a minus 120. I think San Diego FC is just mad, and I think that they're just going to keep trying to pound folks as much as possible.
San Diego's just too good. They're just too good in possession. They're too compact. Their defensive line just placed at a different level. And is the defense, is the way they come out with it. I think McVay has turned into this phenomenal center back that I don't know if anybody saw it coming, because he just bounced around. And I think that they have one of the most exciting, probably the best defensive prospect that I've seen in a long time in Dua.
Mm-hmm.
They control the tempo of the game because of that midfield. Valakri and Versakov do such a good job of keeping possession, moving it around, but then when they see that moment, they create presentation immediately with the distribution. Dreyer just seems to just know exactly where to be, how to be. He's going to assist when he needs to assist. He's going to score when he needs to score. They're just too good. And as much as I would like to give a fighting chance to a Sporting Kansas City team that they look decent against Columbus, I'll give them that. I just don't think that they can do it in this one. Just San Diego's too good. That's an easy win. You were not going to get the numbers on the juice boxes, but I wouldn't bet on Sporting Kansas City in this one.
Yeah, plus 300 for Sporting. Draws a plus 309, and El Palatero and San Diego FC are a minus 120. Seattle, by the way, plus 114 for Seattle on the road at St. Louis City. City. And they are the home team is a plus 210 for anybody interested in that one.
I'm staying away from that one.
Yeah, I ain't touching that one. LAG's at Colorado, and Colorado is favored at a plus 125, LAG is a plus 175 on the road at Colorado. I'm intrigued, but I'm not touching it.
I am intrigued. I'm also not touching it. These two teams to me are a little bit of a question mark, or at least they can be a question mark in their performances, right? The 3-0 that they got against a Charlotte team that just seems to be stumbling and rumbling all start of their season. I mean, 3 goals in 15 minutes kind of puts the game away early.
Mhm.
I will give LA Galaxy this, though. They controlled the game from beginning to end. They created a whole bunch of chances. I love the overlapping that they're doing on the outside. I love what I'm seeing from Gabriel Peck. I think Joe Klaus, and I've said this from the very beginning, he fits this offense. And the stealth bomber, as I call him, he's going to disappear and appear in front of you, whether it's in pressure, as he did in that third goal, or he's going to disappear and appear in the box, as he did on his goal, on the first goal that he got. I just love what I'm seeing in terms of that attacking end. Now, the LA Galaxy defensively, I still want to see them face better opposition. I think that they've had it a little bit easier to start off the year. So that could maybe change against Colorado, that they did give it to the Timbers pretty well. They found their groove. They really put the Timbers under duress. So that one I'm not touching. If anything, I'd probably go with the draw, but I'm not messing with that game.
FCD is a massive underdog going out to BMO to take on LAFC. They're a plus 700 going to LAFC. LAFC, by the way, is a minus 278 in the composite.
It might not be enough.
No, I know. Portland hosting Vancouver. Vancouver's an even money plus 100 on the road at Portland. Portland is a plus 240, and the draw is a plus 300 on the nose. And then you have your 2 matches on Sunday. Baby Bulls hosting CF Montreal, and they are a massive favorite at a minus 182. CF Montreal might be grabbing after that spoon in the cupboard, just because how they're getting lit up early this season. And then FC Cincinnati and Toronto wrapping things up on the weekend. Toronto's a plus 309. They've officially introduced Josh Sargent. And FC Cincinnati is a minus 1.25 against Toronto FC. I still think that FCC takes care of business. Draws a plus 280. I'm not touching it, but I still think FCC takes care of business.
I like the draw. And the only reason I say that is because Cincinnati, they play Tigres midweek. And I know that Pat Noonan is going to be counting on hopefully Evander getting back, keeping some guys healthy. There might be some rotation, although he's not a rotation type of guy, but maybe his current situation with the roster might force him. Toronto, I mean, they are as leaky when it comes to goals as any team. Have they given up 6 already? I think it's 3-3 in their first 2 games. Something along those lines. I mean, they've been bad, right? But what happens with Josh Sargent? Does he give him another guy? I don't know if he'll be ready for this game. I like Sifu. I always been a Sifu guy, Cifuentes. I'm hoping he continues to get better with Toronto. So this one, I don't know why I feel like it's going to be an ugly, not very exciting game with a lot of stoppage where nobody really wants the ball and it just doesn't come with a lot of goals. But I do like the draw in this one.
And you are correct, sir. Toronto has given up 6 in their first 2. It was 3 to Vancouver and 3, and so
Dallas.
In Dallas. So you end up with all those so far. So you lose that one, and you lose the other one, 3-2 in Dallas at Toyota. So you give up 6. CF Montreal, by the way, has given up 8. They gave up 3 to Chicago and 5 to San Diego in their first 2. Orlando City, the purple team's given up 6. And check this out. In the West, no one has given up any more than 5 goals, and that's Sporting. Everybody else, Portland's given up 4. Everybody else is 2 or 3 or none. You've got 4 teams in the Western Conference that haven't given up a goal in the first 2 matches so far this season. San Diego FC, San Jose, LAFC, and Vancouver, the top 4 in that division, in that conference, have not given up a goal yet this year.
It's just quality coaching. Is the rosters that had some of that continuity into the season, and I think you're seeing that. San Jose is the one that I did not expect to be up there. Now, again, it doesn't matter who tells me that this is what we're going to see from San Jose the rest of the season. I don't want to take any, excitement about what Bruce Arena's been able to do down there, but that's a pretty easy start of your season. I think that San Jose will get better with Timo in there, but let's just wait on it. I was surprised to see some of the comments about how this team is going to take off and they're going to be this dark horse. I think it's just too early. But San Jose is a team that I didn't expect down there. And the Sounders obviously being as down as they are, it's just one game, but I think they should recover.
Yep. All right. So what's going on with the Sounded Heart Pulso Sports and your upcoming trip to Providence and Swedish tire change and framing and picture framing shop?
Yeah, of course. Look, I was not going to go to practice today because I feel like I've been there so much, but I'm going to go. I'm going to go just to make sure to see what happens with Paul Rothrock. I think that's what everybody wants to know. Is he going to be, if he's there today, maybe it's nothing, but if he's not, I was talking to Jeremiah Oshan yesterday. He said that at some point prior to coming to the Sounders, Paul Rothrock had a surgery on one of his ankles. Hopefully this is not the ankle that's been hurt. I don't know. I don't want to freak anybody out, but I'm kind of freaking out. So I'm going to be going to training and seeing what happens, seeing if he's there. When it comes to what's ahead in our lineups is Friday. You do not want to miss what we learned this week with Jeremiah Oshan. We're going to break down. We're going to take a deep dive into St. Louis, what they could expect, what the rotation could look like, who are the players that might or might not start this game. We might give you a lineup builder as well and try to figure out who Brian might be able to put in there. So that one's going to be fun on Friday. On Saturday, on Monday, we'll do kickoff with Ari Lillenwald. We'll break down the entirety of the week. And on Pulso, you'll find all of the voices of everyone that we talked to throughout the week. Do wait, though, for that. Our first Coach's Corner of 2026 will be with João Paulo. We talked to him, and I got to give you a little sneak peek. Just such a wonderful guy to talk to. He basically tells you how he didn't quite get to say goodbye to the fan base. He's still here, but JP, the player, is not. So he just talked about how he wants to say goodbye to the fans from being JP, the player, to now being JP, the coach. Had a great time talking to him about what he's done, the difficulties, what's been the hardest thing of trying to separate the player from the coach and the coach from the player, some of the new hobbies that he's gotten into, because he finds himself with a lot more energy after days of work that he did when he was a player. So it's a really good interview with JP that we had for the first Coach's Corner segment of 2026. And you're going to be able to find that. I believe in Love and Scorchers. Obviously, there's a venture there between Sandra Hart and Love and Scorchers. So check that out. Wait for that. That's going to be a good one.
And out of the blocks, Paulo Nagamura and JP 2-2 after 90 minutes against LAFC out at Starfire this past week. And then LAFC wins 4-1 in PKs to get the extra point, which to me is kind of silly. But that's what MLS Next Pro wanted to do when it came to try to find out extra points. Instead of leaving with one, you win PKs, you get an extra point, and so that's where that lies. And this week it is a trip to SaberCat Stadium for the Defiance as they take on Dynamo Dos, and that one is on Sunday night, 7 o'clock Eastern time. And you can catch that on OneFootball on MLSNextPro.com and on MLS YouTube. As always, my friend, great to see you. We'll catch up with you again next week, and we'll break it all down, and we'll have fun talking about all the things. Official term.
You the man, John. Appreciate you.
Yeah, he's going to go finish a second cup of coffee. That's Nico. And we'll break things down with Nico. So, and his mentioning of JP gave me an excuse to talk about MLS Next Pro. So, for Atlanta United 2, we're going to have their home opener on the network pregame at 6:30 on Sunday night. And it is a 7:02 kick at the Turner Soccer Complex. If you are in Athens and you are nearby, come to the home opener for Atlanta United 2. It's going to be on the SDH network, and we'll see how the team has thawed out, hopefully, from their time of the 7-foot snowdrifts at Bryant University and the 1-1 draw against the New England Revolution 2 on last weekend. and the Revs win the PK shootout 4-2, and they got the extra point last time. So we'll see how the Twos respond for the home opener in Athens at the Turner Soccer Complex. 6:30 pregame on the SDH Network, 7:02 kick, and it will be, I think, all of us. I'll be there for pregame and for halftime, and then it will be Maddie and Jason on the call for that one up in Athens on Sunday night. So that's your rundown of MLS Next Pro. Gossip, rumor, and innuendo, what to watch, where to watch it, how to watch it, and then something that came in while we were on the air that we have to address. Withered abbreviation PN37. Okay, so you're a bot. All right, so you've effectively now been blocked, and now you're going to be reported. So withered abbreviation PN37. At least you're not immediately going to link to a Russian website like we had one bot do the other day. Literally, it was like blah, 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 handle. And go to .ru. And I'm like, really? It's bad enough when you're just kind of like a normal bot, but then you actually have the courage to sit there as a bot or whoever was sending the note to try and forward it to a Russian website. That was pretty funny. Cincinnati's acquired keeper Fabian Mrozek on loan from Liverpool, 22-year-old Polish keeper. He joins through the 26th season. And obviously it is pending receipt of the P1 visa. Clubs announced today he will be here for the 26th season. Option to make the move permanent. Is going to occupy an international roster slot. Joined Liverpool Academy in August 2020. Secured 19 clean sheets and 60 appearances for the club at U18, 19, and U21. 6 times on the bench for the first team. Chris Albright with a quote. Wrocław, Poland native, joined Liverpool Academy from his hometown club, FC Wrocław, and signed his first professional deal in July of 21. Is featured on the Polish national team at the youth international level. 2 prior loan spells with Swedish top-flight club IF Brommapojk Karna and English side Forest Green Rovers. So once again, pending receipt of the P1 visa, loan for the 26th season, option to make the move permanent. Fabian Mrozek, 6'4" keeper out of Wrocław, Poland, and from Liverpool. Okay, what to watch, where to watch it, how to watch it, brought to us by our friends at Fanatis, fntz.co/soccer down here. That link is important. Helps them, helps us, and helps you by adding more matches to everything you're already watching. With Fanatis, you get all the BNs, and I mean all the BNs. That means you get AFCON, you get WAFCON, you get CAF Champions League, you get the Polish League, you get the French League, you get the Turkish League. Tigo Sports is in there. CATV is in there. You also get Teise, so that out of Argentina. So you get Copa Argentina, all the breaking news that they give you on a daily basis. A lot of the other leagues in South America, both Primera A and the B leagues. Then you also get Liga 1 Max Pro out of Peru. You get CDO, and you also get TVV if you want to add Venezuelan television to it. And you can do that at Fanatis at fntz.co/soccer down here. Now, what to watch, how to watch, and how to watch it. We haven't even gotten into the Premier League today. It was a big win for Arsenal and a stumble for Manchester City, who is 7 points back with a match in hand now. Alan Pardew said that there should be an asterisk attached if Arsenal wins the title. Alan Pardew is silly. You cannot be serious. And because of the style of play, the man who is calling out Arsenal for their style of play as they're fighting in 4 competitions, irony inescapable from Alan Pardew, who said Arsenal should have an asterisk if they win the Premier League this year. Yeah, like you wouldn't have had an asterisk either. USA has Spurs and Crystal Palace. Keep an eye on Spurs. They are now officially only 1 point out of the relegation fight, or being in the relegation zone because of wins yesterday. USA Universo simulcasting that one. Fox ONE has the Coupe de France at 3:10. Women's action, CONCACAF W Championships. And that is, you can get that at probably FIFA Plus and at CONCACAF as well. And keep an eye on Fox ONE and or FS2. Virgin Islands, Puerto Rico at 2:30. Antigua and Barbuda versus Guyana at 5 o'clock. So it's already an odd rush with Antigua and Barbuda both taking on Guyana at 5 o'clock. So Fox ONE, keep an eye on Fox 2, FS2, and on FIFA Plus. So that is what to watch, where to watch it, how to watch it from our friends at Fanatis, fntz.co/soccer soccer down here. Now, gossip, rumor, and innuendo to wrap things up. And yeah, I know we were going into added time, and there is something that we do have to discuss before we get out of here. Something incredibly short-sighted, and sadly, in this day and age, not surprising. Hertzler slammed Arsenal's tactics, and he tells the Premier League that they have to act. Time-wasting tactics on the Premier League, and he wants them to intervene as the Gunners, quote, play by their own rules. Playing by their own rules. Sure. They're playing by their own rules. So Bukayo Saka scored in the 9th minute. 1-0 win at that point. Hertzler and Mikel Arteta had words on the sideline as Brighton, and this is from James Ollie at the 4-letter, grew increasingly irate at what they perceived as repeated attempts to slow the game down in both halves. They have the lead. Coach Hertzler, I would say, look, you would probably do the same thing if you had the lead. If you had the lead against the division champs or the team that's ranked number 1 in the Premier League and you're trying to get out of it at home with a win, you're going to slow it down. Trust me, you're going to try to slow that game down to a crawl. Last 20 minutes would probably be some of the most painful television known to mankind. Anybody going up against Arsenal, trying to save their spot, trying to figure out how they can get into Europe, try to stay afloat in the league in general. You got a lead on the Arsenal right now who's at the top. You're going to find a way to win and get out of Dodge. Same for Arsenal. And like I said, I'm not an Arsenal person. 4 separate competitions right now they are still in that you can come up with a quadrilateral. You can come up with a quad at the end of the year. You're going to rest, folks. You're going to slow things down, and it's up to the officials. So Fabian Hertzler, he's yelling at the league. You ought to be yelling at the PGMOL if you're going to kvetch about that. The league has to act. Well, no, the officials have to act. Hertzler had suggested before the game that the Gunners were creative in how long they took to restart games from corners, went much further afterward. There's different kinds of winning. If they win the Premier League, no one will ask how they win the Premier League. You can really feel that they do everything to win this game. In the end, it's about the rules. If the Premier League, if the referees allow everything, then it is difficult. That's the key. It's not the Premier League. You can yell into the clouds all you want, but at the end of the day, it's up to the officials to enforce the rules. It is up to them. He says, Arsenal, Hertzler continues, they make their own rules. At the moment, I have the feeling they're doing their own rules no matter how they're playing. You want to send off the keeper for 2 yellow cards for wasting time? This will never happen. So what should he do? That's the thing, and that's why you need rules and limits. That's also what he, meaning center ref Kavanaugh, admits to me at halftime. We just talked about how can he reduce the time wasted, and he said it's even difficult. He said it isn't. That's got to be a misquote. It's even that it is even difficult for him. We need clear rules because then you can protect the referee. They have to stick to some things, and the Premier League has to help them more. I will never be the kind of manager who tries to win in that way. Mark that quote. I want to develop players. I want players to keep improving, keep playing football on the pitch. In the end, every team will manage and waste time, but I think there has to be a limit. And the limit has to be set by the Premier League. Actually, it's set by the laws of the game. It has to be reinforced. It has to be enforced by the officials on the pitch. I'm not sure if I would ask now everyone here in the room, did they really enjoy this football game? I'm sure maybe one raises his arm because he's a big Arsenal fan. Besides that, no chance. Where will this go in the future? That's my question. One game we play 60 minutes natural time, and then you play against Arsenal, only 50. It is 10 minutes difference. Is that what supporters are paying for? You get my point. Arteta refused to engage in a response. He goes, what a surprise. You just go back to previous games, you'll find a lot of comments like this always. Yeah, I hate to break it to Coach Hertzler, but you're going to do whatever you're going to do to win. Especially if you have 4 titles that you are chasing. So do not be surprised by any of this. But Fabian Hertzler, just to realize, dude, you'd be doing the same thing. And then when you get called out about it, I'd love to see that press conference. So mark the day and the time. Wrexham are looking for a push to the Premier League. Look to sign at Liverpool's Andy Robertson and Harry Wilson as free agents if they do. Liverpool want to bring in Jan Diomande from Leipzig amid concerns over the future of Mo Salah, according to Sky Germany. Red's priority is to land Michael Olise from Bayern Munich. Complicated to pull off because Bayern want to extend the 24-year-old deal beyond 24-year-old's contract beyond 2029. Diomande could be available for around 80 million euro, linked with Arsenal, Manchester United, and Bayern. United are the most prominent club trying to sign Bruno Guimaraes, according to Team Talk, actively looking to extend in Newcastle past the expiration date of 2028. But the Red Devils see him as a switch for Casemiro. Could require close to £100 million. Competition from City, PSG, Real Madrid, and Bayern Munich. Manchester City have joined United in the race to sign Nottingham Forest midfielder Elliot Anderson. Rodri's future will play a large part in that as to whether or not City will be the one to sign. 3-letter paper, by the way. Real Madrid are watching Rodri closely, especially with the contract expiring next summer. Sport claims Los Blancos currently not interested in him due to his contract situation, injury record, and the requirement of at least €60 million to sign him. Juve looking at free agent midfielders. Also aim to sign a partner for Dusan Vlahovic if they can renew his contract, a goalkeeper, a center back, and a fullback, according to Tutto Sport. 2 priority midfielders are Bernardo Silva and Leon Goretzka. Competition from Inter and Arsenal on Goretzka. And they're also looking at Alakli's Franck Kessié and Leipzig's Xaver Schlager. Team Talk says Juve more likely to let Jonathan David leave. They can convince Vlahovic to sign on new terms. Juve midfielder Kefren Turam has seen interest from Arsenal, Liverpool, and Manchester United. Liverpool could let Mo Salah go this summer. Saudi league clubs are readying offers. Color me shocked. They could have done this last year and gotten some resources for it. Napoli and Manchester United both interested in Joao Gomes, some Nicolas Shearer. Juve following midfielder Andre, continuing negotiations with Bournemouth's center back Marcos Senesi, whose contract expires in June. Juve have plans to overhaul their keeper department. Third place, Carlo Pinsolio, the only player certain to be there after this summer. Atalanta's Marco Carnesecchi, favored option, but it would take €35 million to sign him. Spurs' Guillermo Vicario is a more realistic option, but they would also chase after Alisson if he leaves Liverpool, or Fiorentina's David De Gea. That's from Gazzetta dello Sport. Hamburg want to sign Fabio Vieira permanently from Arsenal, can't afford the €20 million option in the attacking midfielder's loan, hoping to negotiate down to around 10 to 12. That's from Bild. Bayer Leverkusen exercising their option to re-sign Salzburg winger Kerim Alibegovic. Juve, Milan, and Bayern. AC Milan and Bayern Munich among the clubs who want to sign the 18-year-old. AC Milan want Corinthians midfielder Andre and could let Youssouf Fofana leave if they sign the 19-year-old, the Frenchman being the topic of interest from Galatasaray and the Prem. Grisha Promel has officially formed Hoffenheim. He's going to leave as a free in the summer. Midfielder is going to join Stuttgart. That's from Florian Plettenberg and Sky Germany. Manchester City have completed all the formal steps to sign 16-year-old midfielder Kier McMeekin from Hearts. Real Madrid could replace Arbeloa with AC Milan head coach Max Allegri ahead of next season. That's from Corriere dello Sport. And Thomas Frank could replace Oliver Glasner at Crystal Palace this summer. 3-letter paper. Why? Now, there's one other thing that we need to get into before we go. And it came out this morning on the 280-character app. And it has to do with the local paper. And in the byline and in the tease of this particular story, came out an hour ago. And it's Doug Robertson at the AJC and his article on Uzbekistan making Atlanta their home for the 2026 World Cup. After that, here's what Doug said. I can't think of a better way to end my time at the AJC than with a breaking news story about the sport I love for the paper I always wanted to work for. I'm not going away. Please stay tuned. Love y'all. So Doug Robertson's time is ending at the AJC. D'Orlando Ledbetter said the same thing. So that is the news on the Uzbekistan FA and Uzbekistan making Atlanta their base is the last story that Doug is filing for the AJC. And in a year where you have, and honestly, it is now a 4, well, actually, probably 5. It's a 5-year cycle where this particular part of the country, southeastern United States, and Atlanta specifically with what we're seeing, you are in a footprint where you have the World Cup coming in less than 100 days. You have the 17th franchise of the NWSL coming on board. You have a venue like Mercedes-Benz Stadium that houses an MLS Cup champ in Atlanta United. You have the U.S. National Training Center, named after one of the great benefactors of soccer here in this country, in the Southern Crescent. You have a Women's World Cup happening in South America next year. You have the World Cup for the women coming to this hemisphere in 5 years' time. You have all of the other tournaments that are active. You're probably going to get at least another Copa America here. All of the stories that we are blessed to have come across our table every morning. Not just the national stuff, but the local stuff and the regional stuff that we get to do. And the local paper sees fit to not renew contracts or whatever their phraseology is going to be for the beat writer for soccer coverage here in town, the beat writer for, yes, Ricky, absolutely true, all of the MNT and the MNT matches that are coming this way. 2 friendlies at the end of the month. The beat writer for 2 decades for the National Football League franchise. And hang on just a second. Let me see. For the activity for another former beat writer, that you have him out as well. So literally, there are 3 sports that will no longer have beat writers attached for the local paper that decided that they did not want to be a local paper anymore. Making these decisions the way that they are. Like I said, I understand the why. They will point to the economics of it. And Justin Toscano said a month ago, he said it's now different than even 4 years ago. And so now you have a situation for a paper that is no longer seen in paper form. But I mean, like I said, it evolves to that point. And it depends on how you want to have if you are an owner of a newspaper, how you wish to adapt. But you are now in a situation where the newspaper in name that is attached to this market and this region does not have a Braves beat writer, as far as I know, will not have a Falcons beat writer. So let me see if I can. All right. So you end up with, as of an hour ago, also D. Orlando Ledbetter saying in his copy, 22 years, 4 months, and 19 days. 351 games he's been on the Falcons beat, only missed two games in that time. 2 hours ago, he posted his last newsletter for the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. And so He spends his notebook reflecting on everything over the last 2 decades, 2+ decades. He ends his newsletter by saying, it's been a blast. I got a kick out of asking the first question at news conferences. Now it's someone else's turn. Take care. So you now are in a market where the local paper does not have a Falcons beat writer. And in the busiest 5-year span for the sport of soccer in the Southeast, you do not have a beat writer covering the sport. I think my silence is speaking volumes here. And I apologize for going an extra 25 minutes. But in a time that is as busy as it is, and it as important as it is for the sport of soccer, and that's why we're here every day, for the newspaper to do what it did, the future is on them. We're here every day. There's always stuff to talk about. Frankly, I wish I could clone myself, because there are days when I could go an extra 30 minutes and I could go to an afternoon show and we could do an afternoon drive. I'd love for us to get to that point one day where, not where I'm cloned, but where we have an afternoon drive program in addition to what we do in the morning, in addition to morning espresso, in addition to covering high school, which we're doing tonight, in addition to all the other leagues that we cover, all the other feature stories we have. The newspaper's future is on them. And I'm going to, because I saw something from Mike Conti, and I'll read you Mike's comments before we get out of here. 2 sentences. Well, actually, it's 1 sentence. Mike says, Doug's departure from the AJC is a significant setback for soccer coverage in our city. Then it's up to us to pick up the slack. And we'll do that. We're going to be here every day. There's always going to be stuff to talk about. We ain't going nowhere. We're just getting started. I know it's our 10th season. We're just getting started here. Busy 5-year stretch for soccer here in the country. We ain't going nowhere. But it was a decision that was made by the local newspaper, and the consequences are on them. So we'll see. Let's see how they respond to this going forward. Tomorrow, it is hopefully our friends from Beyond Goals Mentoring. We'll catch up with them at 9:30. Apple TV's Miguel Gallardo coming up at 10 o'clock. I got to end it a little early tomorrow because I got to get the boss to a doctor's appointment. So I apologize ahead of time for that. And tomorrow, it will be Walnut Grove at Eastside, 5:30 and 7:30. We'll be out there for that. Today, it is Utopian Academy at Social Circle. I will be out there for that, 5:30 and 7:30 on the network. And the matches will be archived later. The second that they're over, basically, you upload them and they'll be out there for a while. So it is Utopian Academy at Social Circle today. It is Walnut Grove at Eastside tomorrow. It is Atlanta United hosting RSL on Saturday. It is the Twos hosting Carolina Core on Sunday. That's what we do around here. Back at it again in 21 and a half hours almost when it comes to this. But you got Morning Espresso with Jason. Subscribe if you haven't. It's available on Beehive. You can go to soccerdownhere.net. Subscribe to it there. You can listen to everything that we do on all of our social media. Like, friend, be a part of the conversation. Share all the social media handles that are out there. But we ain't going nowhere. Back at it later this afternoon. Back at it again, SDH AM in 21 and a half hours. Mucha Plati, I'll play it safe. Sorry I went long this morning. We had a lot to get into. Thanks to Nino. Glad to have him back on Fubo TV doing Liga Portugal. Great to catch up with Niko Moreno. Great to catch up with Chris Doran from Columbus Crew. Mucha Plati, I'll play it safe. Since it is the end of the show, that means we get to do one thing. We'll be back at it again tomorrow because that's who we are. That's what we do. Mucha Plati, see you in a bit.